Hello everyone, and welcome to Team Talk. I'm your host Logan, and today we're going to have a few friends of mine talk about some controversial topics. We have Travis, we have Andy, we have Cain, and we have Marco. And on your screen you see our 5 topics that we're going to talk about, and yeah, let's just get right into it.
Okay, so the first topic that I think we should talk about is definitely, the first topic on the screen, which is whether or not marijuana should be illegal. It's raised a lot of controversy over the past 100 years even, and it's been used illegally widely. It's one of the most used illegal drugs in the world, and it's the second highest used intoxicant right now. So yeah, we're going to start off with everyone's ideas on whether it should be or should not be, and then we're going to go into why. So with Andy.
Alright guys, my name is Andy. Alright, so my stance on marijuana is that I believe it should be legal for a number of different reasons. It's not as dangerous as certain controlled substances, and it is made illegal for that reason, and it's a very big opportunity for governments to make money off of it, and I feel like those 2 reasons are pretty strong reasons for marijuana to be legal.
What is up? My name is Cain. I don't think marijuana should be legal. I think like the oil should be legal because marijuana is mainly just used for recreational use, and not a lot of people who use it don't even have conditions, and people who use the oil and need the oil are people who have seizures and use it for medical use, and it helps calm people down. But I think the cannabis by itself should be illegal besides the oils, so it can help people who have actual problems like PTSD and have constant seizures, and it helps out a lot of people.
My name is Marco, and I not only think marijuana should be legal, but I think any drug and all drugs should also be legal. I think it's a really good tax opportunity for the government. I think you're really infringing upon the freedom aspect of America. We can't be really as free when we have these restrictions. So that's my stance on it. Hey, Logan here. So my stance on marijuana is that, and I think most of us will agree, it should be legal, but controlled. And I think nowadays, especially in California and Colorado and Washington, marijuana is not as controlled as it should be, especially around kids of younger ages. So, 8th graders have a 13.5% chance to have marijuana in their life. It goes up to 30% with 10th graders, and 45% with 12th graders. Marijuana usage between the ages of 12 and 17 is 50%. But when they get to 18 or 25, it goes to 50. Drops back down, although a little bit, when they reach an age older than 26 to 47.5%.
Okay, I'm Travis, if you couldn't guess, but my main point of view with marijuana is it has a lot of good and very economically sustainable factors in it. It should definitely be legal in medical sense. There's no reason it should be illegal in the medical sense. It is used to help so many people with so many different illnesses. It's been known to be one of the greatest, it's been known to be almost a cure for cancer in a way. It's been known to help people severely with cancer, or severely with seizures, or severely with depression even. Marijuana itself as a drug should be controlled because of the fact that teenagers, when they use it, it's a developing brain. The frontal lobe, the decision-making part of your brain is not fully developed until you're almost 26. So to use a mind-altering drug like this could have harsher effects. Like according to the NCBI government facility, it can even cause neurocognitive disadvantages among any age that isn't a fully developed brain. Like, even 22-year-olds really shouldn't. So, it should definitely be controlled, and you should definitely know the risks you're going to take if you do.
Alright, so going on to Travis's point with the NCBI, I was going to go into reasons why it is illegal, apparently, and reasons that I think it should be legal. There are many different things that are available to the masses that you can get at any time. There's many things that you guys can get that are illegal, like alcohol and caffeine and cigarettes and stuff like that are more dangerous than marijuana itself. Like, for example, a lethal dose of alcohol would be approximately 5 grams per 1 kilogram of your body weight. So, like, let's say that you're a 60 kilogram pound person, or like approximately like 150 pounds. You would need to like drink 4 wine bottles in a row for it to kill you. Caffeine would be a couple hundred cups. But marijuana itself would be 1,500 pounds within the span of 15 minutes for it to kill you. And I'm sorry, but not even Snoop Dogg could do that. So yeah, I feel like that would never happen. And under the Controlled Substances Act in the United States, there's 5 different schedules or classes that drugs are labeled as. Schedule 1 is reserved for drugs that the DEA considers to be the highest, like the most dangerous drug, essentially. And marijuana is up there with cocaine, LSD, and heroin, and well, not cocaine, I lied. Heroin and LSD, and they're both really pretty bad drugs. And cocaine is Schedule 2, which doesn't make any sense, because if marijuana is less dangerous than cocaine, and you can actually overdose on cocaine, why would cocaine be Schedule 2 rather than Schedule 1? And I feel like that doesn't make any sense, and we should reconsider the way that we classify drugs, because again, it would take 1,500 pounds for 15 minutes to die of an overdose of marijuana, and I feel like that would never be possible, because again, that's a lot. And yeah, that's about it. Oh, wait, Travis, here you go.
And I'd also like to point out, with it being a Schedule 1 drug, the government sees it as a Schedule 1 drug because they can't do research on it to prove anything extreme. They can't prove that it's not a dangerous drug because it's a Schedule 1 drug. So you have yourself in a paradox here where, well, it's a Schedule 1 drug because I can't prove it helps, but I can't prove it helps because it's a Schedule 1 drug. So you definitely need to change the scheduling of your drugs, and you need to figure out which can help, and you need to actually thoroughly experiment and test to see the effects on these.
I'd like to really talk about not only marijuana, but also other substances. I think you brought up LSD and heroin, I believe.
Yeah.
We don't really know the safe dosage in these substances, so it's very easy to overdose on them, especially for like a first-time user or even an experienced user. So I think that's why if you open up the usage for scientists to discover what a healthy amount, maybe for specific body weights, for specifically tailored to you, you could have a more, not necessarily enjoyable, or well, enjoyable, but safe experience with these drugs. Bring it back to
Well, let's pass it Cain, because you've been
I
there
haven't
for a
got a
while.
chance to talk.
Yeah.
I agree with Travis what he's saying, and he got to the info too. Marco, I don't know about that one. I don't agree with giving people the right to be able to do any type of drug they want. Letting them do that, if they're suicidal and they want to get the drug just so they can kill themselves, they can do that. But that shouldn't be out there to do that, you know. But I see what you're coming from. But some drugs shouldn't be able to. You shouldn't be able to get it just to use it, like for certain things.
Okay, I was gonna counter your point right now. You said that it would be like that people that are suicidal would use certain drugs. The drug that we're talking about right now is marijuana, and I feel like most people nowadays, or at least the people that I know, they use it more of a, oh, let's have a good time and relax. I feel, and I don't see how that would be a bad thing. Cain, if you would like to redo that,
Let me add on to that. I wasn't clear. I wasn't specifically talking about marijuana. I was talking about all drugs. Well, I guess you could. I don't know if you could say marijuana.
That'd be really hard to, but
Yeah. I was mainly coming off the point of Marco's point of saying all drugs, like heroin, cocaine, meth. You know, that's what I was coming off.
Yeah. That makes
sorry
sense.
for not clarifying.
Yeah.
So, off of the suicidal topic, definitely can't, or it's definitely hard to kill yourself using marijuana, so I don't think that's going to be used to try and kill yourself. But other substances are definitely, if they are legal, and even if they aren't, are definitely used to try and dull the pain, and too much will end up killing you. But marijuana, while it may not kill you, can definitely get you addicted. 1 in 10 people are reportedly addicted to marijuana. Now, again, with underage, that number goes to 1 in 6 if you're under the age of 18. Marijuana is not the drug itself that is addicting, it is the feeling of it. So normal signs of addiction aren't going to be used in order to tell. Most signs are not being able to quit using, which is normal, but also giving up important activities, family meetings, family and friends even, while trying to use marijuana instead. And if you use it when you know it's going to cause problems in your family life, your work life, your school life, those are all signs of addiction to marijuana.
And I would like to go to Marco's point about the legalization of all drugs. The only issue I really have with that, I get the freedom aspect, you should be allowed to do with whatever you want with your own body. But in my own personal experience with hardcore drugs like heroin, methamphetamines, opioids, it turns the person into a non-productive member of society. And the fact that they're a non-productive member of society, then they're not doing anything to promote any good in the country. They're just living at that point to die. So they're going to run out of money. They're going to use everything to spend on their addiction, so they won't be able to, like, from your economical standpoint, you think you could tax it, but if your target audience, your customers are dying, you're not going to be able to tax them once they're dead, and it takes a very short amount of time for an addict to turn into a dead one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with
It
that.
takes less than a minute.
So not only could you tax it, but it would also cut off the money flow to these drug cartels that are really supplying, and the border wars here, the war, it's the war on drugs. Okay, and it was Nixon started it, and it's still coming into fruition, or it's still developing, and it's only getting worse every day. And if you legalize and you tax, you can study it. And once maybe we just legalize it just for studying. All right, we have some participants. After that, then we'll see safe dosages. We can be really safe about it. And when you implement it, if it's their choice to, because you can abuse anything. You can abuse cigarettes, you can abuse alcohol, and it's very easy to. You can abuse anything, and if you choose to abuse, then that's your life.
Come up to the next point. Marco said something right about the war on drugs, and that is that it was used to criminalize, or I think it was used to criminalize drugs, and I think that was a horrible move. And I believe that instead of criminalizing drugs, we should criminalizing people who are on drugs. I'm sorry, I can't talk. People who, instead of criminalizing people, we should help them seek treatment, because I feel like anything can be criminalized, and then people would be arrested for BS reasons. Like, oh yeah, you were caught with, like, let's say right now, since we have IQs on the table, let's use IQs for an example. Oh yeah, you have an IQ, right? We ban all IQs, and let's say, hey, anybody who's caught with an IQ, you get at least 5 years, right? For whatever reason, let's say that you somehow managed to get an IQ, and they find you with it, right? You're not, instead of, like, let's say that you're addicted to IQs. Let's say you're caught with IQs, I'm sorry for proving my point. You're caught with IQs, right? Instead of helping you, like, get help, instead of helping you get treatment with your addiction, they're gonna criminalize it, and you're gonna go to jail and not get help. You're gonna be punished for a mental issue that I think you have, and that isn't correct.
Continuing on with the war on drugs kind of topic, the war on drugs was used in many ways to try and criminalize the use of drugs because it's something that they really can't control. So if you legalize it and allow people to buy it while also controlling it for younger ages, like I've always been a counter for, if you do that, you will lower the size of people in prisons, right, and decrease the amount of taxes you have to pay. And on top of that, you will have to, it will cause a lot of changes in the hearts and minds of many of Americans, in more ways than one, making you feel more free while also allowing you to be free. If that makes any sense.
Okay, so the war on drugs, if drugs are free and drugs are legal, people think that everyone's just going to start doing them, but that's not the case, right? There really is no hard issue with making every drug free and illegal, because it's your choice to do that. Now, the issue I obviously had was that you would be a non-productive member of society, but that's also your choice. And it's hard to really accurately describe it, but they're illegal now, and people are still doing them. So there's still a market for it, and it's still being done, and the government's not getting anything for it. You could turn a bad thing into a productive thing, or you can leave as is. Sure, more people will start to do it, but they should have the freedom to do so if they wish.
Speaking on productivity, I feel like the state of Colorado was one of the first people who actually did this, which was when they decriminalized marijuana and they made it legal. They suddenly got a sudden tax increase because they were taxing marijuana, and for the past few years, from the beginning of January 2017 till September 2018, which was this year, the state of Colorado got almost $500 million collected in revenue, in tax revenue from marijuana itself, and they're using this stuff to rebuild infrastructure, to rebuild stuff that the state of Colorado needs, and I think that is a good thing. And yeah,
I saw a really good meme where it was legalize marijuana federally and then use the tax money to fix potholes. And you call it Operation Pothole, something along those lines.
yeah,
That's pretty good.
And yeah, I just thought that was really funny. So I thought I'd mention that when you said that, was it $500 million?
Yeah, it's $500 million.
Yeah.
Imagine all that money just in the entire, just
Yeah.
going because
Not knowing the government, though, they probably want to spend that on citizens.
No, they've actually done that though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
most
I know
of it
that.
is.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
sorry.
a lot of the government, they won't spend the money to fix roads. Spend it on military and high value items and stuff, skills and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, so we're nearing the end of marijuana. Does anybody have anything they'd like to finish off and say?
Oh,
You want to say something?
So like, adding on to, I think it was Andy's, where people can't really find help for addictions. To add on to that, the police stations, they give you, they give, they give you, like, you can walk in there and say, you want to go to rehab. And they'll give you forms and stuff, and they can put you in rehab that night
Yeah.
if you wanted to. But the thing is, with people, they don't want to do it. They don't have the motive to get better.
Yeah, I feel like there's a stigma between going to rehab, and I don't think that's
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, I also have a very personal point of view on this one. A lot of my family has been to rehab, and even recently. I have my mother who's in rehab right now, and rehab works 1 out of 100. My dad was with 100 people who got into rehab at the same time around when I was born, and he was the only one who made it out and successfully lived the 7-year term that you need to and not go back. Rehab only works
If the person's committed.
if, it's not even if the person's committed, it's if that person needs and knows they need to quit.
Yeah, they need to
Yeah.
move.
Because
They're in the right
They
state of
need
mind.
motivation.
rehab can also be very counteractive. Rehab can give you connections to more drugs and cheaper drugs. It can give you connections on the other side. So
It goes
it can
both
be
ways.
counterproductive. So I think they would also need to fix their system
Yeah.
itself.
I think most systems are definitely screwed up.
Yeah.
In one way or
So
another.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's like the last thing I would say.
Marco, any last thing that you have to say?
No, I think it was wrapped up quite nicely.
Alright, yeah.
Yeah, I
Alright.
agree.
Alright guys, so right now we're going to start with the second topic, which is how concerned are you about climate change? And so whoever wants to start, you guys can. Actually, I think we should start with Marco.
Marco's the
So I am not at all concerned about climate change, but I think we need to get something straight, because there is a difference between global warming and climate change, whether you like to believe it or not. So I would like to go around the table and see who believes in global warming, who believes in climate change, because there are two very different topics.
Alright, guess we're starting with me. I definitely think global warming is happening. I don't know about climate change, but most of my research has shown a light towards the direction of global warming, which, you know, I'm not too concerned with, because I'm going to die before it really affects us. But you know, it should be something that if I'm going to have kids, that I want them to be safe about. Because as a future dad, hopefully, that's something I want to be. I want to be sure of. Travis, stop laughing.
Okay. So I believe climate change causes global warming. Or better yet, the cause of climate change causes global warming. Global warming causes climate change, etc. All of that. So, global warming is caused by the greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect is caused by the release of excess greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, causing more infrared and photovoltaic particles to be trapped into our atmosphere and not be allowed to release, raising the temperature over time. Earth does have heating and cooling cycles, so our heating could be caused by that, or it could be caused by us. There is no hard facts, really, that you could possibly see to define either one. Our main power supply across the whole world is used in fossil fuels. Those fossil fuels release carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, they release sulfur dioxide, they cause acid rain, they cause all this and that. They also release nitrogen and nitrogen dioxide. Those are increasing the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, making it harder for heat to leave after it enters the atmosphere, causing, over a period of time, global warming. And this global warming can change climate, because if the overall temperature is warming, hot places are hotter, cold places aren't getting as much snow, they're drier, droughts happen, serious weather occurrences happen because warm fronts are reaching closer to colder fronts and causing hurricanes, tornadoes. A lot more is happening because of the heat rising. So if you take into account that greenhouse gases are possibly increasing heat, then you can also take into account that it's changing the climate of certain areas.
All right, I'm gonna respond to Travis a little bit here. For the whole global warming factor of, we don't really have solid research behind which it is, if it's not because of our global temperature rising because of our natural heat and cool system. So what I have is from NASA itself, of course, because that's the best place for information. So ever since our last ice age, which was about 7,000 years ago, our carbon dioxide level has never risen above 300 parts per million until 1950 when it passed that line. It's now growing and is at 409 parts per million, which is a big increase. Also,
Wait, can I pitch in something?
hold on. Still got some facts to spit out.
By my calculations,
I was
that's a
gonna
big
help you out with that, but yeah.
So then on top of that, our water level has risen, and it's rising still 3.2 millimeters. Isn't a lot, but still an amount per year, every year since I believe 1988.
Well, since our water level is rising, like not rapidly, but pretty fast, according to some research I did, if the polar ice cap completely melts and the ice is gone, our water levels would rise up to 3 feet around the whole world. And in doing that, that would
Size of angel.
It would take a lot of our land away, and a lot of people would die.
Yeah.
That is one of the biggest problems we have coming along as we go.
Marco, would you like to say anything?
I can let Andy go first.
I have one thing to finish up. One thing to
Yeah.
finish up. Our global temperature, is at its current state, is at 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit in average, which, if you didn't know, that's like 2 degrees. Like 2 degrees. I mean, come on. In fact, the 1.5 degrees Celsius, which I don't know in Fahrenheit, is what we want it to be at without causing too many global effects in natural disasters, droughts, stuff like that. And I'll give it over to Andy.
Right, so let me start by saying that, so our, Marco said that he wanted to know whether I believed in climate change or global warming. And I think global warming is a factor of climate change, right? Here. Global warming has led to the polar ice caps melt, and there are various pictures on NASA's website that are on climate change specifically, because they do have one, that they have taken pictures over the course of since 1980 till today, where you can have like a live picture of the polar ice caps, and they have significantly melted by a lot. And because of that, again, I'm going to use the ice metaphor. If we took out all the ice from our water cups right
If
now,
you're using the ice metaphor for every topic we discuss,
I'm going to
taking you out.
Yeah. Okay. No. All right. So So right now we have our water, right? Without ice, it'd be room temperature, right? With ice, it'd be slightly colder. The ice on Earth is disappearing. It's going into the water. Yeah, disappearing. Okay, it's going into the water, and that is leading to one, increased temperature of the ocean, and two, rising sea levels. Since the last century, yeah, I like butchering words, by the way. Since the last century, yeah, butchering. Pause. All right, yeah. So, yeah, in the last century, water levels have risen by 8 inches, which you wouldn't think is a lot, but it's actually a lot when you think about it.
Okay,
And in the past 30 years, 4 of those inches have happened, right? And that is a lot. And because of that, that's led to hotter temperatures or hotter ocean temperatures, and that leads to more hurricanes and stuff like that. Because the way that hurricanes work right here is that water evaporates when moisture rises, creating thunderstorms. That creates a temperature difference, which leads to the air spinning. It's kind of similar to a tornado and how that works, except that with the ocean, right? And because of that, we've had more powerful storms. Like in recent years, we've had Hurricane Harvey, which decimated Texas, and then we have Hurricane Sandy, which decimated the whole East Coast.
Can I add on to that?
And
we
yeah,
just had an earthquake. I forgot where it was. Not like
in
a couple.
Alaska.
Yeah, Alaska. It
Yeah.
was like what, last week or something?
Yeah,
It was a 7.5 earthquake.
And-
that's pretty big.
that's pretty big, and usually stuff like that never happens.
Yeah.
Well,
The last major earthquake that big.
okay,
was it
you
in the
have to
80s?
think. Where does most weather and storms happen?
In the ocean.
The equator, tropical areas, right?
Mhm.
If you increase the range of a tropical area, you're going to have more of a range of where storms are going to happen. Heating up the water, okay, I'm going to get really nerdy here, Mr. AP and Biro, okay?
Yeah.
So a convection cell works, a convection cell is where you heat something, it rises, it cools down, it goes back down, heats up again, and you have a constant flow. Water doesn't heat up very fast, but once it does, it doesn't lose that heat very fast either. So if you're slowly heating it up, it's going to take a while before that heat dissipates. So it's going to evaporate, it's going to go up into clouds, it's going to create denser storms, it's going to create bigger storms, which is why you'll be getting hurricanes the size of Hurricane Harvey, or hurricanes 400 miles wide.
Why?
White?
I just swallowed a bubble, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's alright.
I understood. But 400 miles wide, that can cover basically all of Florida,
Which happened with Hurricane Harvey.
which did.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I really wanted to say.
Margo?
I'm sorry, I'm a bit confused. You said that the tropical waters are rising, such as, so the Atlantic Ocean is going to, over a period of time, become a tropical water.
Well, if
No.
the polar ice caps keep melting like this, yes.
Okay, what I mean to say, right,
Yeah.
is, okay, so if the atmosphere is warmer, places that were already warm are getting warmer. Places-
Yeah.
Just right.
Yeah, obviously.
Just right. And then areas around there are going to get warmer as well.
I see.
So eventually cold areas that, or not cold, but regular areas would eventually rise to a temperature that is suitable for a tropical environment. So eventually it will turn into a tropical climate.
No, I was a bit confused on that.
Can I add on to that? Or
I was gonna add on.
Yeah, I was gonna add on to something Andy said, and this is from NASA, so this is according to new analysis of satellite data. The Antarctic ice sheet showed a net gain of 112 billion tons of ice a year from 1992 to 2001. And so I'm not really seeing this polar, this ice melting. I'm maybe seeing
The
ice
Antarctic?
growing.
The Antarctic?
I mean, I'm seeing. Well, you keep saying that this ice, this metaphorical ice, is melting. So I'm seeing a, what is it, 112 billion?
Well, see,
112 billion
this is
tons
the
of ice a
thing.
year from 1992 to 2001.
Yes.
This is the thing. They're looking from above. Ice can grow on water like nothing. They don't know what's under it though.
This is
The
true.
ice doesn't grow from down up. It grows on top of the water and it grows up.
I'd actually, I'd like to
Sorry.
point
That's
something
not
out.
always true.
No,
Sorry.
that works. No, that works because Greenland, the iciest place in the world. that you
Definitely
can
not
live in.
Iceland.
Definitely
Yeah.
not Iceland.
Yeah.
Iceland is green. Greenland's
Like
ice.
you found that
Frank,
the hard way.
Let's just.
You want to see a place like
But-
you know?
Greenland is just an island with a giant glacier on top of it. That's what Greenland is. And you would think that glacier is solid, but it's got so many rivers, tunnels, literally holes that go straight down, and you have rivers flowing from the top straight under the glacier. How do you get flowing water on an ice cube? Exactly. And the reason this is raising like a lot of concerns is because if that glacier were to fall off the island, water would rise rapidly. This is an island that's
Pure ice.
at least 80% of the size of the United States.
Wow, I didn't know it was that big.
Oh,
Yeah,
Greenland is
huge. Wow.
huge. Yeah, no, Greenland's
Yeah.
Greenland's
I know
huge.
the map was pretty huge, but
Yeah.
I didn't realize
Yeah, no,
how big it is.
Greenland is huge. So if this glacier were to just fall off the island, which I mean we're not going to be allowed to see that.
Yeah, that would
This
take
is definitely
millions
something
of
that's
years.
going to take hundreds and hundreds
Yeah.
of years because glaciers don't move fast. It's been moving inches the last few decades, but when it does, it will ruin a lot of people's lives.
Not a lot of people.
Like Britain,
Why?
Britain will be getting tsunamis. How often does Britain get tsunamis?
Well, I think it'd probably be underwater. How? Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
the entirety of the UK would be underwater
Oh,
at that
yeah.
point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, you think splashing in a pool is a lot of, this is the ocean.
Yeah, like say you just drop like a rock in the water.
Let's
the
do
ripple-
ice cubes, okay?
Yeah.
You have a cup of water and you have an ice cube that is, let's say Greenland is, let's say the ice on Greenland is probably 5% of the entire ocean's mass. That cup of water, once you drop that ice cube in, is going to raise 5%. It's going to increase its volume by 5%. That's a huge increase,
That is.
especially across the entirety of the world, where most of our world is water.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you've heard places like Venice, New Orleans, Florida,
Venice is
Venice's
streets
field
are
people.
rivers.
Yeah, Venice's streets are rivers.
Legit
Yeah,
rivers.
yeah.
Are rivers.
No, that's what they're known for.
And
And
they
they're
are-
having a lot of structural problems right now because the sea levels are rising, and because of that, their structures are being flooded by the water.
Yeah. Let's let Marco wrap this up.
Yep.
Oh, I wanted to make one last quick statement, and this is something that really worries me because scientists are supposed to be held to a higher standard than the rest.
That is true.
So these are Steve Goggins WordPress, I don't know what, anyways. So right after the year 2000, NASA and NOAA dramatically altered U.S. climate history, making the past much colder and the present much warmer. That terrifies me.
That is
Well, I
pretty
mean,
alarming.
yeah.
I did see that.
I did see that also.
You're to be able to falsify information from what looks to be a reliable source is frightening
Yeah.
because you get an idea that they're hiding something from you and then you don't know the extent.
And then,
Not,
I think it's
I can I add something real
Alright,
real fast?
let's wrap it up, let's wrap it up.
Not only this, but the carbon tax that most countries are now implementing, such as the UK and I think the US. That seems like an agenda, something that maybe NASA, NOAA, and the government has. I know I'm getting all kind of
Yeah.
Alex Jones here, but it really does make sense when you have two very big, supposedly reliable sources, and they are altering climate history.
Well,
Okay, Cameron?
Alright, let's
Yeah.
have Andy, then Cain, and then we're done.
Alright, so right now with the new administration, well, I mean not new because we're halfway through there.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the administration that we have right now, at the beginning of the president's term, he appointed people that were very contrary to what the EPA is supposed to be about. The EPA is the Environmental Protection Agency, for those of you guys that have 3 brain cells.
Oh,
At me.
that's, we're gonna get demonetized.
Alright. Damn it, okay. Anyways, so it's the Environmental Protection Agency, right? This was founded by President Nixon because he believed that he started seeing the effects of climate change, right?
Yeah.
And so he wanted to do something about it, and he wanted to protect the environment. That's what the agency is for. And so now we have this president who is dismantling I think he's dismantling the EPA by putting in people who genuinely do not care about the environment, which is kind of hypocritical because it's called the Environmental Protection Agency, yet you have people who want to destroy the environment, leading the protection agency, which I don't think makes any sense, but yeah.
It's like having
So,
a general
hopping back to
Peace
the-
Corps.
Exactly.
So hopping back to the glaciers, not only will us, as everybody would be affected, the wildlife in the water and all the ecosystem would be very strongly affected.
Oh yeah.
Lots of animals will die because of water change, the temperature change in water.
We-
The
we-
polar bears. I think we can all agree
polar
with
bears
that.
are gone.
We don't even know how many species exist in the ocean.
Yes.
We have very little information on the depth of the ocean and what
So
goes on.
to change that is
Yeah.
we don't know the extent of
We don't
which
know.
it would affect the world.
Okay.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
trying.
All right. That's the end of climate change, right? On the topic
Yeah,
we're on.
those are my two main.
All right. We're gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. All right, guys, we're back. Welcome back, everyone. So we're gonna start our next topic now with Marco.
Alright, thank you, Logan. So the next topic is, how should we prevent future mass shootings? Now, this is very controversial, especially in today's political climate. A lot of people think we should have an entire gun ban, and a lot of people think we should have more guns. I'd like to just go around the table and see everybody's stance on this topic.
Well, first I would like to point out that today Marco is wearing a I'm pro-gun, changing my mind shirt. I'm a very big fan of the shirt, and I think I'm gonna put it up on the screen after I edit this out. Anyways, so my point of view on mass shootings are it's not the gun's fault, it's the person's fault. Guns don't kill people, people kill people. And I'll continue on that once we actually get into the debate itself, but I think I'd like to hear what everyone has to say first off.
I'm ultimately undecided on how we should go about preventing future mass shootings because I don't believe there's any real correct way that's 100% foolproof because it's really difficult to make anything that's 100% foolproof. I don't think we should get rid of guns because of it because the mass shootings that have happened are with legal, permitted, guns. They were just their parents. So doing that isn't going to stop anyone because if their parent really wants a gun and still gets the legal part of it, then they could still be taking that gun and using it.
I agree with Travis's point. Again, like he said, I am also undecided. I believe that there isn't enough regulation in place or enough correct legislation in place to check on whether the gun was purchased or not. And again, there are many other factors that can contribute to gun violence and mass shooting. And ultimately, I believe that people kill people rather than guns kill people, but at the same time, we should have stuff in check for things like that. And yeah.
Well, first off, I'm pro-gun, obviously.
Okay, Cain.
Thanks for telling us that, Cain.
Yeah.
We didn't know that.
Didn't wear your shirt, so.
Sorry, I didn't want to sure, okay. But the thing about guns, that's a whole different topic. I do agree that people kill people. Because guns can't get up and walk themselves to a school or a club or just some random spot, and shoot people, One day you stand up on grow his leg and just start shooting, So, it is one of the problems, but you shouldn't completely get rid of guns and all that stuff. So, yeah, that's what I want to say.
So it's back to me now. Logan didn't spoil it already, I am pro-gun. You couldn't tell from my shirt. But yeah, I believe there are various ways we can prevent what we're talking about is mass shootings around the country. One of those ways would be armed patrol of some sorts. Now, it does not necessarily have to be law enforcement, but it could be contracted out to private contractors. And we can make this extremely simple. You have 1 to 2 armed guards at high population points, or schools, high places where a lot of mass shooters like to go. So I know we're talking about mass shootings, but I think the school shootings really prevalent right now, so we'll really try and focus on that. But I think there's almost no harm in having 2 law-abiding citizens, even though they're private contractors, so they would be citizens, arming our schools. I mean, we arm our courthouses, we arm the police stations, we arm these places that we find important, yet we're not arming our schools. If you cared about the children, you would. Now, it doesn't have to necessarily be these private contractors, but maybe the history teacher who owns a firearm, who has a concealed carry permit, just carry on campus. I don't find a real big issue with that, and I know a lot of people maybe say, well, they're going to turn the gun on the students. If that happens, then that person should be hanged by their genitals.
Okay, that's cool.
Because you are there to teach that child, and if you would ever turn a gun on a child, that's ridiculous. So I definitely think guns should play a much bigger role than they do now. Would anybody like to comment on that?
Yeah, I would love to comment on that. That in the moment, I don't know about
We're keeping it professional.
Yeah.
General. Okay.
sorry, the general one. I don't agree with that one. A little okay, but I do agree with the security, like armed security, because people, the mass shooters do go for places that don't have security at all. Like a club, they'll shoot the guy in front, but he doesn't have a gun or anything to protect himself against the shooting. So I can see why a mass shooter would go to a club or a school that doesn't have an officer or some other stuff.
Alright, I would like to say that, I can agree with Mark, I can see where Mark is coming from. If you want to have somebody protected, you would protect them with someone's gun. There have been times where I didn't feel safe on my school campus. And, but I feel like that would be a little too extreme. Should teachers have their concealed permit at school if they do have one? Yes. Let's say that they do turn a gun on a student, I feel like they should have that privilege revoked, because again, having a concealed permit, that I feel like that is more of a privilege. Having a gun is a right, because that's obviously in our constitution, and we can't.
Being able to have a gun.
Yeah.
Being able to own a gun.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I can I can partially agree with where Mark is coming from.
So I like your idea, the security. Really great idea, because you could even make this into a company, a job. You could produce jobs this way by permitting, training, and basically making a police force, sort of, almost a militia, for the protection of people in general, high value places. Like Vegas has a lot of police officers, but there are millions of people on the main strip. You're never going to be there at the right time. And being able to have just people who look like regular citizens walking through and being able to protect the people around them. Because not everyone is a concealed carry citizen, because a lot of people don't feel safe. But to train people and to have them be able to protect you is, I think people would be better off, because if you have trained citizens walking about, the moment a shot goes off, they're there the moment it happens, and they're never going to avoid those people because they don't know who they are. And you would be creating jobs, you would be creating revenue, and you would be protecting people and saving lives. So I genuinely like Marcus' point.
I would like to point out that in Nevada, there is I believe there is open carry there, right? I'm not too sure about that.
Yes,
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure.
I heard there was open carry, so I was gonna say, you brought up a good point where people could be into with the gun and whatnot. I feel like like in like that certain situation, it would be more of a good Samaritan person. Like let's say that you do have a gun, because gun laws are more liberal there than here in California, and so I yeah, again, they would have open carry, and I feel like it would resort to good Samaritans rather than people with a concealed carry.
One real quick. The thing about that is that concealed carry, people who conceal carry, that's good, as long as they're properly trained. But the thing is, when you have a mass shooter and you have an officer arriving on scene and you have your gun out and they don't know that you're not the mass shooter, so you could potentially get shot. Potentially. That is one of the big
A
issues.
recent case.
Yeah, that recently happened in Alabama, I
Police
think.
with the security guard.
That is a big issue.
Yeah, the security guard was shot, but no one gave a description of the shooter.
It wasn't a security guard. It was
No, it was a security guard.
Yeah, it was a security.
no, because I heard it was somebody.
Was it
some
the black guy?
Yeah, it was the black guy.
Yeah,
It was from
security
London?
guard.
Okay.
No, he wanted to be a cop.
Sadly, no.
Yeah, he was gonna go into the academy.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when people call in stuff, in the heat of the moment, they don't give a description of who it is. So you can be a regular guy trying to protect your family member, and you could possibly get shot because you might be right there at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And the shooter could be running away, you know?
Yeah, I get that.
That's the only issue I have with everybody concealed carrying.
Yeah.
It's just everybody's safety with it. You're not gonna shoot back that cop.
I agree with Marco on the whole patrolling, like militia kind of thing. You know, but I think what we really need to talk about, especially with mass shootings, which has been a spark of the gun control debate most of the time, especially with recent school shootings and it's just basically any mass shooting that's been occurring is just always sparked back to, hey, we talked about guns. So I think we need to start talking about how people are targeting rifles as a form of this needs to be banned and gotten rid of somehow, some way, so that our schools can be safe. And I don't think people realize just the numbers of how that's just not true. Handguns in the past year, or in 2017 entirety, killed 7,000 people. Assault rifles, or rifles in general, killed 403. Then we go on to the race and ethnicity, because that's always a very big spark of, you know, shootings, is because they're black, or they're white, or they're Asian, or they're Latino of some kind.
Or they're gay, or they're straight, or they're
Exactly.
religious, or they're not.
Well, people don't focus on Mexicans, whites, or Asian. They focus on the black people because people,
They have been
they make it around black people because
they have been more marginalized for years.
But the thing is, not being racist, everybody, I'm saying like everybody once in their life, but most people once time in their life have deal with either dealing drugs or getting involved with the gang members or something. But black people not criminalize themselves, but a lot of them do. But when you don't follow the officer's orders,
And that's another thing we need.
when you don't listen to somebody who's giving you orders and has a weapon on them, and you don't listen to them, they don't know what you have on them, on yourself.
It's near your fault
Yeah,
when you
it kind of is your fault because the cop doesn't know what you have on you, what it is, and you're reaching for something, and it looks like a gun object.
Yeah.
He's gonna shoot you no matter
Yeah,
what.
in a high tension situation, at the end of the day, they want to go home alive, and they want to make sure everyone there goes home alive.
they're going to be.
So if they view you as a possible threat, and you're not proving yourself to them that you're not, they will automatically do everything they can to either apprehend or stop you even if you have nothing going
Exactly.
on, even if you're not a threat.
Yeah,
So-
and then,
Sorry,
sorry.
go
Let me add on to that. You guys know that movie that, I don't know if it just came out, but it was made where the black kid gets shot and the girl is trying to justify for him?
Oh, yeah, I think it's
But
gonna
this,
come out pretty
but this
soon.
is the thing. I watched the trailers. It's the kid's fault. The cop told him, don't go into the car. He got out, he stood there, but he thought it would be funny to reach into his car and grab something black, like an object,
An object, yeah.
and come back out and the cop
Easily be
shoots him.
resembled as a gun.
Yeah, but this is the thing. They try to blame the cop, but the kid didn't follow the orders that the cop gave him.
This is true.
So that's what I get mad when people try to get justice for themselves when it's their fault and they don't listen and they don't follow the rules. If you
Yeah.
follow the rules, you won't get shot.
Well, yeah, police officers are people too. They get
Yeah.
nervous. They get,
Yeah.
they,
They
don't
get
know what it
jittery,
is.
yeah, they feel on edge. Like, yeah, they're trained to hold that back. They're trained to be calm in almost every situation.
It's
But
called fight or
you
flight.
can't.
You
Fight
can't be
or flight.
trained. You can't be trained to the point where you're not afraid to die.
Exactly.
I think at one point everybody's been scared to
Yeah.
die, and you can't fight against that.
Because there's a fight or flight moment. You're fighting, or you're running away, or you're hiding.
Yeah, I know.
One or the other. Because my brother, he's a sheriff, and this lady once told the people at his shop, said, no. She did it at a thing for a training seminar. My brother's been a sheriff for what, 8 years? He has 67 or more certificates in the sheriff's department. So my brother's highly, not decorated, but he's very highly the sheriff's department. The lady said, if you can, get an object or a sharp and throw it at the shooter. My brother got mad at her and told her off because you don't get an object and throw it at somebody to get their attention. You're basically calling them, hey, come right here. I'm gonna throw it at you right now. You know?
Yeah.
You can't do that. There's a fight or flight. You're hiding or you're fighting the person and he has to be right next to you to fight. You can't fight from a distance unless you have another weapon that you can discharge on them. There's a difference. You can't just,
Because I'm telling you right now, bullets hurt a lot more than a book or a rock.
Yeah. You can't
It's
just arm
actually
teachers.
really funny. There was a school in
I saw
Texas,
that. They armed the teachers with rocks.
yeah,
With a bucket
with
of
a
rocks.
bucket of rocks each class,
Well,
and their plan was to throw the rocks if a shooter ever came.
But it won't work. like
Texas is 31st for having the most amount of restrictions in gun laws in America.
31st?
31st.
I believe it.
that. California's the first one.
No,
No,
actually.
it would be Illinois.
No. So we have Hawaii being the first.
Oh, that really?
We have let me go over the rankings
Yeah.
and then we'll talk.
Hawaii,
So we have Florida. I don't know what Florida is. Sorry, hold on. Texas is 31st. California is 49th. Hawaii is 50th. Illinois is the 45th spot, and Florida is 38th. Those all come back around to the number of murder victims in those states. Shut up, phone. In California, we had 1,800 murder victims. In Texas, they had 1,400. In Florida, they had 1,000, and Illinois had almost the same amount. This is a form of saying that if gun laws work, why are so many people dying in one of the biggest regulated areas?
Yeah.
Can I talk about how they all have higher populations in most states than a handful of states combined? Like California has the highest population here in the United States. So if we were to put it proportionally to, let's say, Wyoming, which Fresno has more people in, Fresno and the close area have more people in Wyoming combined.
That is true.
So
That's crazy.
We have
And-
over half population just in the valley.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Around.
than Wyoming.
I mean, there's 1 million people in the county, and there's
Well,
less.
there's 500,000
yeah,
in Wyoming.
In the valley, we have over half.
Yeah, I know, right?
And the rest are around.
Yeah, there's
the coast.
less than 200,000 people in Wyoming.
I think that if crime was, like, if we made all crime proportionate, would that still be a issue, or, because, again, ratio?
I think in 2017, the violent crime, which, if you didn't know, violent crime just is murder, rape, robbery, and aggravated assault. Violent crime rate was 382.9.
Per?
to 1.
Mm.
So you're going to be, you have a very high chance of getting killed, robbed, assaulted, or raped, just in 2017. That number has gone down from 1998, from 567.6 to 1. Now, this can be determined in many ways. You know, say a society is getting more and more peaceful. Just because we haven't been on edge, say we haven't had a war in a while, we haven't had a terrorist attack that any of us remember, at least, because we weren't alive when the last terrorist attack happened.
I was still in the womb.
We,
I think we were all in the womb.
I wasn't.
I was
Okay.
born 2 months
I
after.
just fertilized the egg.
You fertilized the
I think I'm-
All right. We're not an abortion
Yeah.
yet, guys. We're not an abortion
Oh, yeah,
yet.
yeah.
Let's get it.
All right. So to get back to my main point, so then we can go back around because we are almost done with this topic. 60 white people have committed mass shootings. 17 black people, 9 Latinos, 8 Asians, and 3 Native Americans. Now, we can all say something about how white people are doing it because of something. I think it's more because of mental illness than anything else. I think most of us can agree that we have a lot of mental illnesses in the white community as it is.
Yeah.
I think
Mainly because there's a lot more white people in America.
That's
right. Yeah,
Let the white people talk about this, okay?
No, I was gonna say.
What?
Yeah, I was gonna add on to that because it is true about the mental illness. Because if you look at the biggest, well not the biggest, but like the past school shooting that like literally just happened.
Most of them are.
The kid was like yeah, he had a mental illness.
Yes.
That kid was like, I'm gonna be the next school shooter, and he was like all happy about it.
Are you talking about Florida? Or?
Yeah,
I
Florida.
would like to point out the disgusting amount of, like, the amount of,
Attention and.
I hate using the word, the amount of racism, but it's really the only word I can use. The amount of prejudice put towards white people because of these statistics. And it really makes you feel like, wow, I'm hated because of other people's actions.
Yep.
So,
Well, I mean, what you have to understand is that every race at some point
yeah,
has been in that
every race
situation.
has some
every
kind of
race has
suffering.
that.
Asians were called chinks and whatnot, and Asians
Oh yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
no, I
And,
completely get that.
yeah.
I'm not saying that, you know, I'm the only one that, or this race is the only one that gets that, but the fact that people don't realize that, hey, these people aren't doing this decision because they're white, they're doing it because they're messed up in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
we
not
can all
because
agree
they
on that.
feel, hey, I'm superior, I'm gonna shoot this school up. It's, hey, I'm really messed up in the head, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Well, I mean,
Because when you're psychotic, we can't understand that mindset.
Yeah.
We don't have that mindset.
Yeah,
That's
like-
the thing.
We'll say one of us right here, we had a mental illness, right?
Why are you looking at
it would probably be.
Get out, Travis. It's almost 3 o'clock.
Okay, say one of us here has a mental illness.
Yes.
See, Marcos, me, and okay, one of
Say
us.
it's me. Say it's
I mean,
Okay, as an example, say it's Logan. He has a
Yeah.
mental illness. We can't really help him because he doesn't talk, right? If you don't talk, we can't help you. So, knowing that, say your parents had guns, right? You had a mental illness, and they bully you at school.
Yeah.
This kid wants to do something about it, and we can't stop him because we don't know, and we don't know what he's always thinking.
And you
One
know,
day he could be
yeah.
pissed,
And-
and like 5 years later, he'll be happy as shit, you know?
Yeah, like that's like, because one of the most common mental illnesses is like being bipolar.
Yeah. Oh,
So
yeah.
you can have the gun on you for any use. You know, you're thinking, I'm walking home today, so I'm gonna carry the gun because I want protection.
Yeah, you can be happy.
Yeah, because you don't think, hey, this isn't okay, I'm bringing this to school. But all of a sudden you get mad and you're like, well, I feel attacked, I'm backed into a corner, and then you're going to use it. You're going to discharge your firearm, I'm putting quotations, you can't see that, but
Hopefully it's your firearm.
yes,
Yeah.
and it's because, you know, we're taught that firearms will protect us, and they will, if used correctly.
Mhm.
But if you're not under attack where it's life or death, you should not use it.
Are you done? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So, even the biggest thing is the threat of firearms. I feel like most robberies, most in-house robberies at least, there's a reason why you don't get robbed in the middle of the day. You're afraid that somebody in that house is going to have a gun. Not they're going to have a knife, they're going to have a gun.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was gonna throw knives in.
Yeah, you're not going to be throwing knives or rocks at somebody, okay?
Unless you're
When,
from Japan.
when somebody pulls out a gun, you're not thinking about where's my nearest rock.
Hey,
Yeah.
Japan's close quarters, okay? You just
Yeah, their rooms are literally like probably this big.
Yeah.
That's how big
Yeah.
their rooms
Anyway,
are.
you know what I'm
You
saying.
break down the paper
No,
wall.
No, we're not obviously not we're not trying to be racist. If you
Yeah.
get offended, we
Yeah.
apologize.
If you get offended, don't worry. You can quit the video now.
Yeah.
So,
it's gonna get worse.
anyways, you know, like, the threat of a gun is a very big thing. When you think of a gun, you should be getting scared.
Yeah.
It can kill you, it can harm you, it can maim you. It can do a lot of things to you. It's not meant to just kill people.
No,
It's meant to do a lot of things. It's meant to defend people, it's meant to help people, it's meant to hurt people.
Yeah, and it's meant to just overall. It's not that.
People glorify the fact that
Yeah.
it kills, but they don't glorify the fact
That
that
it saves.
how many people have been saved because they had a firearm?
Millions.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact number, but I remember
There's always statistics on how many people are killed by firearms each year, but there's not statistics on how many people saved their own life with a firearm.
There is statistics, but
Well, yeah, but
just
they're
don't know,
they're,
yeah,
they're
we
not
don't-
they're not outwardly put on like the
I
news.
know.
There's even the statistics that like just the act of having the gun and
Yeah.
being like get out of my house or
Yeah.
don't try and break in.
That's
Those
red
aren't
alert.
reported.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what am I gonna do? Tell the cops somebody tried to break in.
Somebody tried to
they're
break in.
gone now.
Yeah,
Go
it's
on.
like, so
Going down the street.
I was a badass and decided to defend myself.
Yeah.
I want a brownie button, please.
But then the problem is,
Give me an
when you-
award.
the problem is when you defend yourself to a bigger extent than what you
Yeah.
should.
Like,
That's a big problem, especially with shooting somebody. There's been a lot of cases where, you know, somebody felt they were threatened, they shot at someone, and they ended up killing them. And the thought of sorry, I'm gonna finish up.
yeah, okay.
And then it can be your turn, sorry.
Yeah.
The thought of the gun being the problem there wasn't the problem. It's the person, it's the interaction between the two. If you are aggravated in some way, you're automatically gonna get hurt by something. And it's something you may say, it's something you may act, you know? It's the way people talk to each other that needs to be improved, and the way people decide on what to do with that. You know, that's the real main issue, I think, is we as a people need to learn how to get along, and especially have better understanding of how we act as a people.
Yes.
And I think, you know, instead of learning about freaking geometry, we should learn about, we should have these sort of conversations. And when we have, you know, a WE Act, which in our school system, a WE Act is a kind of class meeting where you can talk about this, but it's not
It's
a
not
class
very-
meeting that you want.
it's not-
a
It's not a class meeting that you want. It's more of a.
They never talk about the real
Issues
problem.
that we
They
need.
try to fix it, but you can't.
You can't, like, it's not, you don't feel the same around a teacher or around other students than you do, like, with your friends like we are
Yeah.
here.
Well,
Because-
people can't just say. Look, I don't know if you guys remember, but last year they said that we gotta stop eating that food.
Yes.
You can't just
People-
say,
you can't
hey, you can't eat that food no more.
No,
It's
because
not gonna
people are
do
gonna
it.
eat it more, or
Yeah.
they're gonna want to eat it more because.
So, what people
Exactly.
need to be taught is the extent of which defense goes.
Yeah.
They need to know how far
You should go.
You should go in defense. You should only incapacitate the person
But then,
trying to
then
harm
we
you.
get into another kind of argument
Argument,
of,
yeah, like,
you know,
they're
most,
trying to kill me
here,
rather
well,
than-
because I actually have the statistic, most, violent crimes start from 7 yards away.
Yes.
Now, imagine trying to hit a person, shoot at a person, no matter how much training you have, try and hit a moving target.
It's hard.
Exactly. At first, trying to just hit a moving target, but trying to hit somebody in the arm or the leg from 7 yards away as they're running towards you with a gun. Now, that's
Yeah.
the main problem, is people always say, why didn't you just maim them?
Yeah, no. See, you can't. I don't think you should ever be arrested if you only did one shot and they died because of that shot.
Exactly. If you did
Yeah.
15 shots,
Well,
you're
but
definitely
yeah,
trying to hurt
the
more than
issue
this.
is that there's been many times where police are like, it's been like 3 or 4 shots, but in reality
Yeah.
it's like 16 or 17 shots,
Yeah.
and that for me doesn't make any
Well,
sense. Why
oftentimes-
underreport something that there is clear evidence for?
So even though these police officers are really highly trained and they spend a lot of time at the range,
They're trained to shoot three.
their miss percentages are extremely high, and it'll be high with anybody. It's high with the military. It's high with our law
It's a high
enforcement.
tension
It's
situation.
this adrenaline dump. It just hits you all at once. And
And
let's
not
say
just adrenaline. It's also fear, it's also
Yeah.
anxiousness,
and you're
it's
trying to hit
everything
a
hitting
moving
you.
target at, let's say, 10 yards away or 15.
You're trying to keep a gun
It's-
aimed, focused,
That
all
still
the
doesn't
time.
explain like situations where the person is in a car, because I've known like
You want to know something? Actually, this happened almost 2 months ago. This guy was wanted, and the bounty hunter was there to arrest him. The guy was in his car and tried to hit the bounty hunter, but he hit the fence, so he missed. But the bounty hunter dumped a whole 13-round mag and only hit him once, and he lit up the whole car. He didn't hit him he hit him in the shoulder. He hit everywhere else, but only hit him once. And that's
Yep.
13 rounds into a car.
Yep.
That's not 4. Nobody has that accuracy.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you can't just say 1 round shot, that's
Yeah.
it. You can't just say that kind of thing because,
I would love to do that.
you have to correct your aim, you have to
It
change
doesn't work like
your
that.
when-
But not just that, you're moving at the same time.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
walking backwards or running backwards and shooting.
Trying
and
to
you're not
get the
just,
cover.
You're not holding it out straight and not actually able to aim.
Yeah, this-
Anybody
You're
see the
just shooting
Mythbusters
as you're
episode
running,
where
so-
in Mythbusters, I'll have to show it to you guys after, I might just play a clip of it. Mythbusters did an experiment, right, 7 yards away, so Jamie is running at him with a kind of charged knife, right,
Mhm.
where Adam was wearing a kind of protective suit so he didn't, if they hit him, it'll be notified and then that's the end of simulation. Fuck. So you're running at somebody with this knife, I think it was 4 to 5 times. 4 to 5 times, no matter how many times Adam tried to draw his gun and prep it to shoot. No matter how many times he tried to do that, he never hit him only once. And even then, he shot around and missed.
Wow.
Yeah.
7 yards away, running at you full speed with a knife, can stab you more than once before you are even close to prepping the gun.
Well, here's the thing. The cops
already said the gun
Well, no, here's the thing. The cops
always
have
true.
this rule, 20-foot rule. If you get within 20 feet of an officer, they're gonna shoot you. Even if you have a knife,
Yeah.
even if you have a fucking fork, they'll shoot you because you can stab them still. It's true, you can still stab
You can use
people.
anything as a weapon. You can use a pencil,
Anything.
anything.
prison chains.
You can use anything
This
as a
ice
weapon.
cube
Okay,
can be used
imagine
as
this
a
ice
weapon.
cube.
I mean, if you
Alright.
if you sharpen it enough,
Alright.
yeah, but like,
So,
Alright, we have 7 minutes left on the
okay.
clock.
I would like
That's
to
lame.
point out that this video is now going to be called The Ice Cube.
Yeah.
But that's
Brought to you
the thing.
by Pepsi Cola.
Okay,
Okay,
we're not
we're
actually,
real
we're not actually,
Please don't sue us.
I'm trying to monetize this video.
Not
please
sponsored.
don't sue.
But that's the thing. You can't just when you're in the moment, when you're shaking, you have adrenaline, you have fear. You're not gonna hold your
And
hand completely straight
Exactly.
That's another
on
thing.
the fucking person,
I
and
would-
you're gonna lay all your
Yeah.
rounds on him.
Yeah.
I would
Nowhere
like to,
else.
I would like to point out though, we are all 16-year-olds. Like, we don't know what that feels like.
Well,
We
no.
No one
But-
really knows what that feels like unless you've experienced it firsthand. So, to judge someone like that without knowing is
Yeah.
it's
no.
impossible for you.
Yeah, there was actually a really open anti-gun person. I can't remember the name, but I'll show you guys the video where he was brought out and he was basically like the same thing that the Mythbusters did, where he was taken into the law enforcement
Oh, yeah,
role,
yeah, I remember
and he was
that.
saying, he was the officer told him, look, tell the guy to get on the ground, whatever, and the assailant charged him and he shot him. But he complains about these police officers, how they're not doing enough, but he shot the guy for just kind of walking towards him. I'd love to link the video down in the description so
I think I'll
the
do it,
viewers
yeah, I
can
got
see.
you. But I know what he's talking about, and at the end of the video, the best thing I heard from him was, I was wrong.
Yeah, because you can't do that. You can't judge somebody off of not even knowing their perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's funny because people are like, why don't you just shoot him in the leg? You're seriously telling me to take my eyes off of his arms and where his weapon is and shoot him in the foot or in the leg?
Yeah.
No, you can't do that. People are saying just why don't you pepper spray him? Because the guy has a fucking knife. You're not gonna pepper spray somebody who has a knife.
Yeah, you're trying to save yourself and
Yeah,
other people around you.
Yeah.
I get trying to use the taser, but the taser is not always effective.
Yeah.
Because
they're close.
if both of them don't, if both of
Not just that.
both of the prongs don't come on, it's not complete.
Not just
it's not
that.
gonna, yeah.
If
work.
your clothes are thick,
It's
won't
not
go
gonna-
through.
it's not gonna
It
go
won't
through
go
your skin.
through.
I mean, I could wear a leather jacket and you can't tase me in the back.
Oh my God.
You're gonna have to shoot
Don't give
them
these
no
criminals
matter
any
what.
smart ideas.
I mean, if I'm wearing like, let's say he's on a motorcycle, right? You're pulling him over because he went 110 down the freeway. He has a concealed carry on him. He's really not liking that you pulled him over.
Yeah.
You're not going to pull a
Around.
taser on someone that's in full leather and a helmet.
No.
There's no way that's going to work.
Yeah.
If he charges you with a firearm, you are going to shoot him because you're scared for your life.
The best thing that I've heard from a police officer himself was, I have to remember that my weapon isn't just mine. It can be used as a weapon for him. If I lose control of that weapon, I don't know what that man can do. I have to either shoot, I have to tase, I have to do something to subdue him. If I can't subdue him, I have to shoot him.
Yeah. Or you're gonna
Yes.
die.
Or you're gonna die, other people will die. You have a lot of rounds in that clip, okay?
Yes.
You cannot control what happens after you are subdued.
I've
Yeah.
even heard of police officers putting a face to each bullet they have in their clip to think, this is the person that could die right now.
Yeah.
Like
Because-
they even put their family in they're like, let's say they have 9 rounds in their magazine. They automatically, huh?
That's it?
Well,
It's
no,
just a
well,
9, I mean,
well,
it's just a 9
Well,
round.
most issue police law enforcement guns,
Have 11, I think.
handguns usually have readily issued as a Glock.
Yeah.
They have
Yes.
13 rounds.
All 13, that's right, yeah.
So there's 13
So
rounds. But a
those
lot of
13
other forces have either 1911s or higher calibers
Yes.
that are 45, but those only get 8 rounds.
Yes.
They don't have a lot of rounds. So you can shoot somebody and you only have 8 rounds. You're gonna have to reload, right?
Yeah.
Glocks, they have 13. It's gonna take a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you can't just do that. Like it's not based on how many rounds you have.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
A lot of people could die if you don't take the situation and stop it quickly.
Yeah, because there is this one situation. I saw it in the video. This cop was being attacked by a guy. The guy was reaching for his gun, so he discharged it and manually put it out of use in his holster. So the guy couldn't use it, and the guy was hitting him like hard too. And the cop can't do anything because he was on top of him, and the guy was yelling for help. So the guy, as soon as he felt that the guy was going for his gun, he manually discharged it in his holster, so he can't use it, and he jammed his gun basically. So the
Good.
cop did right there.
Good on him.
But that's the reason why it's hard for cops because
Yeah.
you can't, you don't know what you don't know what a criminal can do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Once-
Like he was saying, you don't know what they can do.
Yeah.
You don't know if they.
After you're knocked unconscious, you don't know what happened after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we really don't give enough credit for our law enforcement. You know, we always hear this abolish ICE and, you know,
Fuck
abolish
pigs.
law enforcement, and it's really wrong. These are the same people that volunteered to
They're-
protect you.
like,
Yeah,
they're
they weren't
lying.
forced to. Nobody was forced to become a police officer. Everybody.
Nobody
volunteered.
goes out and says, oh, which minority am I going to kill today?
No.
They're there to protect you. They actually go and want to protect those neighborhoods. Like there was recently, the cops, every year, they pick which neighborhood they want to protect. If a cop is in your neighborhood and you're in a rich or poor neighborhood, they're there because they want to protect you.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's really eye-opening that that's often the poorer classes of neighborhoods, how they have this hate for cops, but they are there to protect you. It's
And
quite astonishing.
often the hate for police officers comes from people who've never had the experience of their life being in danger.
Yeah.
And when a police officer is there and your life is in danger, they will put their lives on the line for yours.
Yeah, they are there to help and
They'd
protect.
rather die protecting you than you die and them stay alive.
Yes.
They're putting their lives on the line for you.
Yeah.
Now,
Last night, I'm not gonna lie, I got a little. I wasn't scared, but like they were shooting behind my house, and there's a school right next to my house. There's a little kid's school, it's an elementary school, and they're shooting right next to it. And there was like at least 7 rounds. I was like, damn. And there is no cops coming. The neighborhood behind my house is there is nobody patrolling. Nobody.
Well, that's another thing. Is
Nobody.
a lot of the hate that these lower class neighborhoods have prevent cops from even being able to enter those neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Because they're afraid that the moment that their patrol car goes on one of those streets, that they're going to be shot at.
Yeah.
There's a video of, I want to say New Mexico, of this cop outside of his patrol car, and there's maybe 10 kids, little kids, in front of him saying, "F you pig, I want you
Well, I feel
dead,"
like
and
it's
crazy.
ridiculous.
I
Now,
feel like there has been a serious disconnect between poorer neighborhoods and the police department.
Yeah.
And I think that's more stigmatized with, like, let's say, gang members and stuff like that.
Yes.
Because they're obviously the ones that are doing illegal stuff, and they don't want that. They don't want the police there. So they will influence the younger children to not like the police. And I think that we should have more of a, like, not police presence per se, but we should have a more we should have like programs like PAL,
I
which
think
is
they should be all police.
I think they should bring that back, and I feel like they should
But yeah, so that's.
I think we should increase the more police presence.
I think we should make police look more like a good guy, because they are good people. I will admit, as much as like people hate police, I do think that they're good people, and I think that their service is a very good thing to do.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, before we end this real quick, the people paint cops as the bad people, but in reality, it's not cops. It's
Yeah.
I think, as much as we can talk about this topic, I
Yeah.
think we all really agree on one major thing, is that the cops are there to help.
Yes.
Even if, something bad
How
happens.
did we get on this topic?
I don't know, guys.
I don't know.
We spun it.
Okay, yeah.
Anyways.
About mass shootings.
There should be more cops at school because we only have 2 on.
There we go. That's how we tie it back. That's how we tie it back.
Not only high schools, you should also do elementary schools and middle schools.
I did realize we only have 2 cops on premises, and they're in the back of the school.
They're in the back of the school.
No,
There's a
cop-
probation officer
the
and.
probation officer and
Yes.
the school resource officer and the probation officer.
Yeah.
They're both
But the thing is,
usually impaired.
That-
and
okay,
they're gonna,
yeah.
okay, the school shooter's gonna, or somebody's gonna come from the front, and there's nobody in the front,
Yeah.
and they're all in the back,
Alright.
and that's what I mean.
All right. Next topic. We'll see you guys in the next one. We're back from our break, and we're gonna have our next discussion, which is number 4 on your screen. When is the use of military force justified? And for that, we're gonna have Cain take it away.
Okay, so when is the use of military force justified? Good question. So I honestly don't know how to add on to this besides the border right now. That's the only thing that.
I think most of us can agree that
Yeah.
that's a perfect example of what's
Yeah.
going on right now.
Yeah.
And for this point.
Yeah, because Donald Trump sent like what, 1,500 troops?
It was like
to the border?
3,000.
Or something like that. Well, he sent a lot of them because a lot of, what was it, the 5,000 immigrants that are trying to come over? Oh, sorry, definitely. Thousands
And
of
growing.
immigrants.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of people.
Yeah, well, I get why he sent them because a lot of them are creating riots, burning down buildings, and doing a lot of crazy stuff that they shouldn't be doing. So I get why Donald Trump sent that many troops to the border,
Yes.
to keep them from coming in not legally and not coming over the right
Yeah.
way. Because coming over the right way is better than creating chaos and having them shoot you for you being stupid and trying to cross the border
So,
without being
Basically, what you're
police.
saying is use military force when it threatens the national security.
Yeah.
So the thing is, I like what I put in my notes. Yeah, live above an airport.
There's our military.
There's our military now.
Right.
God bless
Wait,
America.
Hold up. Did anybody catch that? You live above the airport?
Hey, stop it. All right. Let me say my quote.
The viewer probably can't hear, but there was quite a few jets
Yeah, there was
right
jets.
above us.
They might be over here. I don't know. Anyways, Our president, our commander-in-chief, and our leader in diplomacy and war has all right to control our military however he sees fit, in a matter of action he sees fit. Overseas, on our borders, it's the same fight. It's to keep this country safe and secure from any and all threats. That's all I gotta say.
Who else wants to add something? Travis?
No, I completely agree with your point, Cain. You know, because this is a lot of people. Like, this is a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's more people in this group of immigrants than there are in most towns and cities. That like in the Midwest in America, you can have towns of 200 people.
Mm-hmm.
This is thousands of people. Imagine having thousands of people. You don't know them, you know. You don't know what they're capable of. You don't know the lives they've lived. You don't know if they're willing to be an American. So
Yeah.
for them to just want to walk over and not take the time to actually get here legally, to not want to take the time, means that they're just desperate. And yeah, I see the point of view where it's like, yeah, they're desperate. They're escaping something horrible. They need asylum, as I was pointed out earlier. But
I would like to mention that was off camera.
Yeah,
off
that was off recording. But
No, was it?
there is.
Yeah, it was.
Well, no, it was recorded. But it's.
But it was
Yeah,
off.
go ahead. Anyone gonna
Wait. I'll clip the what
The
you
piece
talked
that
about.
we're talking about.
But yeah. So there is a level of trust needed to allow this many people into a country.
Yeah.
Because it is a lot of people, and if they were, like, let's just say that they rioted against the military and they happened to win. Just hypothetical. This would be thousands of armed immigrants that we don't know.
It goes back to the same kind of debate we had with what should have been mass shootings, but turned into kind of a gun control report and all of that goes with it. You know, you don't know what happens with that gun after you've been subdued or you know, after it's been taken away from you. You can't control that.
Yeah.
Alright, so
Can't control the outcome.
Yeah.
I would like to point out that, alright, so off camera I said that people are desperate. Travis has said that too, but I said that people are desperate because of the extensive wait times that are needed for citizenship and asylum. Last time I checked, which was a couple of days ago, wait time for to get accepted for asylum was around 7 months or so. And I can see where the people are coming from when they say, when like they're frustrated because they have to wait 7 months. We traveled 2,000 miles or over 2,000 miles just to get denied and to be told, wait, you have to wait 7 months for your papers to come and be transmitted and all that.
Well, here's the thing. It's 7 months, but
But they're doing
but
their
I
best
don't know if you realize how many people there is.
Yes.
And how many people are asking for
Yeah,
that.
You also have to think, we don't really understand the legal process they have to go through to actually allow these people in, and to process an asylum.
Yeah, to become a citizen,
You have to go through a lot of stuff.
not a lot, but it's a lot.
It's definitely a longer
It's
process.
a longer process. That's why, and the reason that they apply for asylum is because they are escaping both gang violence and extreme poverty in Central America.
The thing is, but this is the thing too. Mexico is doing a lot better than how it used to be. There's a lot more jobs than there was before. There's a lot more things to do now. It's not all drug and gang related.
We will admit that people are taking advantage of that.
Yes,
There are a lot of
Yeah, there are people that are.
taking advantage of that.
Yeah.
But you also have to think, hey, you know, these are thousands of people. Like, you can't grasp the sheer majority.
Yeah.
And
In the recent wildfire that California just had, there wasn't a place to house these people.
At all.
There was. How do you expect for us to house these thousands, or just allow these people to come in?
when we just spent billions on repairing
and
Send them to Wyoming.
And send them to Wyoming.
Sorry, if anybody by
Anybody
any
for
chance,
some reason actually has YouTube in Wyoming, we're sorry.
we apologize.
Yeah.
all 4 of you, I'm sorry.
Keep going, Marco.
But definitely it's not just, it's definitely a resource issue as well, and it's a legal issue. You have all these people that are waiting in line that want to wait the 7 months or however long it is,
Yeah.
and you have these from what I'm seeing, it's military age males. Okay, I know the media portrays it as it's a bunch of women and children, which I
It's not.
definitely
I can agree.
So I
with
think
you
we,
that
what we
it's
all have to
mostly
agree on
men.
is about the news and the media is
It's
It
blatant.
does lie.
every single news media source is just trying to get viewers to give more money
to
to
get
for
get
sure.
more
Yeah,
on their
that's for
news.
sure.
For sure,
So
every
they're-
news source is biased.
They're going to
They have-
try and bias that fact.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the thing is, recently a bunch of people tried crossing, and
And
the
that's
U.S. Border
obviously
Patrol.
Recently,
They
they
got
got
a
Well,
big
well,
years out
recently
there.
for us, yeah,
It's
the
occurring
border,
in December of 2018.
yeah. Well, recently the Border Patrol started throwing tear gas. People were saying there were kids. There was a lot of people. Well, then why were you trying to cross illegally?
Well, no.
I
It's
can
not our fault.
agree
I
with
would also
that.
like
It's not, but it's not our fault
Yeah.
that you guys. It's a mob of people, not just like a group of like 5 people.
Yeah, it's not
It's
100
it's
people.
like
it's 1,000,
a mob.
No,
two to
we-
three to four to
no,
That
five.
was
Yeah.
clearly stated
And I'd
in
also
the
like,
media that
I'd also like to
thousands
point
of
out,
people.
no one ever points out how many times we've used tear gas before.
Under
Yeah.
Obama's administration.
Yes,
Yeah.
like, it's not because, Trump is this evil guy who wants to use
Evil and
tear gas
racist.
on his immigrants.
He's
It's
not.
that
I mean-
that's their only resort, or they can kill them.
Yeah.
Like-
Would you rather us start mowing down people with our guns?
With saws.
Well,
That would
yeah,
make it
it's
look
not,
so much
It's not
worse.
like that. We can't do that because if we did that, we're just making it look like we're like, oh no, fuck you guys. We're just gonna light you guys all up. Like, you know?
Yeah,
You can't
yeah,
do that. You have
yeah.
to there's precautions and things put in place before you start shooting.
That's the diplomatic choice, was to use
Tear gas.
tear gas.
But
That's
to
the
use some kind
diplomatic
of
choice.
discipline to try and make them
Go back.
go back and
I
push
think-
them away and to secure our borders. This is really what this is all
But
about.
the thing is too, why couldn't we get more people, like immigration lawyers, people that know the rules? Why couldn't we like get more people at the border and have them help out with the processing? It would have been, I think it would have been a better idea to get a couple hundred more people that are already there, or that are already there at the border,
So,
and just help them out and try to speed up the process. It's a fairly long process, I'll agree, but I feel like shaving down time would help these immigrants rather than having the current situation that we're at right now.
to relate this to the question of when military use is necessary, what you're saying here is instead of using the military, instead of using it in such a
Yeah,
mass,
in such a mass way, we should try more.
you should try different options like increasing the amount of people that could process immigrants.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the
understand.
thing
And
is,
more
I
diplomatic.
just don't want to get off
here's the thing.
topic.
We could do that, but they're burning down the building.
This is true. They are.
They
They're
are.
burning down the
They
building.
are.
There was a Mexican immigration checkpoint that was burned after the Mexican police tried to stop the caravan.
And I
as we
would
call it.
like to point out, if they are doing this, it's understandable to think we're not going to just let them in with asylum because
Who knows what they're gonna do when they get over
Yeah.
there?
That it is a safety issue,
They're
I'll agree with you on
angry.
that, but the people are escaping a lot of stuff. They're escaping the cartels, they're escaping gang violence, they're escaping
get it.
extreme poverty. And if, again, you paid most of what you earn in your lifetime to try to come to the United States to get a
That's all
better
you've got
job.
I get
Yeah.
it, but even wherever you go, there's still gonna be gangs, there's still gonna be drugs, there's still gonna be violence.
Yeah, but
it's
it
not
won't
gonna-
be as prevalent
Well, you also-
as
you also
in
have to
those
think,
countries. Over
the
there,
poorest people here are the richest somewhere else.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a lot better here than many other countries, which is why they come here. It's because, I mean, I'm the lowest level right now in poverty. I'll admit that. I don't have much, but I have more
than
than
other people.
so many other people, and every day I'm thankful because I do live in a country where that is
Possible.
possible.
Yeah.
And they want that, so I feel for them. I'm like, hey, I get that. You want it, and you just need to know how to go about it. You can't be violent with
You
it.
can't be doing anything illegal.
Yeah, you can't get angry, and don't go the illegal way because this isn't.
It's
not
not
right.
that way.
It's not our way.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause even if you come illegal, it's gonna still be hard, because you
Yeah,
can't just go to
yeah.
It'll
You can't just try and get a job.
It
Yeah,
will be
I know.
worse for you if you
Yeah.
go
Speaking
illegally.
from personal experience, I've admitted this to many people, and a lot of people would probably assume anyways. I am an anchor baby. I'm a child of illegal immigrants, and I know their struggle. It's not very easy for my parents to get a job. They usually have to do manual labor. My father has been in landscaping for years, beyond years. for as long as I've known, like even before I was born, he was in landscaping, which if you don't know is pushing a lawnmower on your yard asking for money.
You know, the
Yeah,
stereotypical.
you know, yeah, the
stereotypical
stereotype here in at least where we live, and so coming from that, knowing that my father's job could be gone at any minute, I felt grateful because even if like we were poor and even if we were struggling, I knew that I was living better than say family that I have in Mexico or literally
Better
anywhere.
than you would.
Yeah, better than I would be. Even though I am poor right now, I still have a better life than people in other countries. And so I feel for them when I see them coming to the United States and trying to at least get into the country, whether it be illegally wrong. I will admit, did my parents do the right thing? Probably not, but it worked for them in a way, but it hurt them in a different way. And I think that's the one thing I will say.
Yeah, I don't know a single person who doesn't feel for these people, who it doesn't pull on their heartstrings a little bit. And I think that's really the approach the media tries to take on it.
Yes.
It's these really drug addicted, jobless people that just want to find a better place to live.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
definitely not
Yeah.
like that. There are obviously more conservative media outlets like Fox News and Breitbart that play these people as oh, they're all gang members, they're all from the cartels, and
Right.
they're all gonna bring in illegal
They're
drugs.
gonna bring in
They're gonna bring in crime, they're
and,
gonna
yeah.
rape
Well,
people and
that's
stuff
the
like
thing
that.
about news networks is
They
they
do it for the
they
views.
often overgeneralize.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
No matter what the bias is, whether they're conservative, democratic, liberal, or Republican,
They're gonna skew it
they're
in some sort of
always
way.
going to have the bias, and they're always going to try and pull you in one
It's
way.
kind of sad that it's kind of expected at this point. Like you
Yeah.
expect a news source to be biased.
Like
Yeah.
to the point where you label them as Republican
Yeah.
news network or a conservative news network.
Yeah, like what happened to a time when we had the Washington Post, which was a very credible news source, and
And
which
it was mostly
it was
unbiased.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
mostly unbiased. It was one of the few reliable unbiased news sources that actually did investigative work and actually got stuff done.
So
Again,
back to
yeah.
when is military force
Force justified.
Military force is justified when national security is at worst.
Yeah,
At risk.
at
But
when
at
your country's people
Are at risk.
could be hurt or are
When
at
there
risk.
is a threat, no matter where, no
It-
matter what, that is when military force is justified.
but I believe
Yeah.
that diplomacy should be
Now-
first.
Definitely a democratic result or diplomacy should be
Always
looked
be
at first.
Yes.
And any form of diplomacy
The-
that would take place, I would agree with.
The first resort should never be military, but if it gets
If it
worse
gets
after you
out of
try
hand,
things,
Then
then
If you
military
cannot
is
control the
necessary.
situation, and
Then-
you've tried everything besides military, not everything, but
Not
you've
everything,
tried
but you've
most
tried
things
most-
besides
yeah.
military
Yeah,
force,
and then
you'll have to use something.
Yeah, and then if you don't like how we do it, go to Russia. I like to see how you like it over there. 'Cause
Yeah.
They will
send you to Siberia.
No,
and-
no, no, no. They'll
If that's
literally,
being generous, they will send you to Siberia and make you work.
No,
You'll get mowed down
they'll
easily.
literally chop your house in
Yeah.
half if they wanted to.
30
That-
millimeter from
yeah.
LAV.
Yeah, they
Their
don't-
police force.
They don't care. It doesn't matter if you don't like it.
Sorry
Literally,
for
No,
the
you
people
don't.
in Russia, but you probably know. So.
Yeah.
Sorry for people in Russia, but,
Yeah, but if
Oh, they'll get
probably
the
aren't
Space
watching.
Force and shoot you
but
from
like
up
if
there.
you don't like it, how
Yeah, that's us, okay.
other people do it, and just because America sends military, we do it to protect ourselves. We don't do it just to fucking send them.
And or oil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Alright.
okay,
Alright, we're done, we're done. Alright, that's it,
Alright,
that's it.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
sorry,
we're
Cain.
gonna move on to, do we need a break?
No,
No, I think we're
no,
good.
Alright, I think we're just gonna
number 5.
straight into the next one.
Which you can see.
Which you can obviously see, because
No.
I'm the host of number 5.
I am going to tell you though, this isn't
This isn't anything
this isn't
related
as
to what we.
This is definitely just about pro-life and pro-choice.
This is definitely gonna be something that
And-
we get through a lot of,
This is probably our most controversial. Which is
Yeah.
why we
Also,
say-
I would like to note that I feel like we definitely don't have the right to say what, or I think we do have the right to say because obviously First Amendment, but I feel like we shouldn't be able to completely
yeah.
talk about it without
Do-
some sort of
do-
female
yeah, do-
we don't actually have
We don't have
any
females here.
female representation here. So what we're going to try and do in the next installment of this, which is hopefully going to be like a month
or so.
maybe less than that, because we might just want to do it again. We'll see what other people think, if anybody else watches it.
Just
But
take
we're going
into
to try and get more female perspective.
yeah, just take into account that we're teenage boys.
We're teenage
We're
boys,
teenage boys,
and
and
Our point of view
I'm
is
pretty sure none of us have gotten anybody pregnant.
Yeah.
our point of
no.
view. Our
Thank
point
God
of
for
view
condoms,
is our point of view is definitely skewed, but we do have a point of view from this
Yes,
perspective.
and I think that's the one thing. I think we've
I
all
think that's the one thing we
said
all
this about
have,
every
yeah.
topic.
But
We've
none of us
seen
block
it.
out.
It is
anything.
We've
ultimately
seen what can happen with abortions,
it
with
is-
marijuana,
yeah,
with
it
all
is-
of this.
It is ultimately
We don't just
a
ignore
woman's
the
point of
facts.
view
That's
who's
the thing.
That's why we wanted to do this podcast more than once, is to try and talk about issues that
abortion
aren't
also
necessarily
affects guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah,
We'll
Okay,
get into
okay,
that.
okay. Here's my introduction to abortion.
We're sorry for rambling, by the way.
Yeah, sorry about that. Don't worry, I'll cut them out. Doesn't matter.
I'm just kidding.
Abortion has been a major topic for debate ever since Donald Trump has been elected, and even previously. It is a discussion about whether or not women or girls, have the right to control what is going on inside their body, and whether or not killing an unborn baby is murder or any type of violent crime. And this is, I'm just gonna shortcut it and say, fertilized eggs are basically, we're all understood that this is basically talking about abortion.
Yes.
This is basically talking about, who is pro-life, who's pro-choice, and what that represents. Well, we're pro-life is talking about, we don't want to kill babies because there's other options than just
Yeah.
killing them outright. And it's not necessarily killing for pro-choice, because that's, it's a word that is used to try and sway people.
Yes.
And I'm going to try and stop using it, because I'm trying to be the mediator. But, it's a, yeah. And then for the pro-choice division, it's what you can do with your own body,
Yes.
and what control you have over yourself and your actions, which, yeah, now I'm just gonna get into it. First off, I'm gonna ask everyone, and if you don't want to answer, you don't have to. And I'm gonna go left to right in this roundtable discussion. Who is pro-life and pro-choice? So Travis, what are you?
I am pro-choice.
Okay, Andy.
I wouldn't say that I am either one of those. I'm mostly anti-abortion.
All right,
That's
so
the only issue I have.
Okay.
Any
Okay.
other method of birth control is.
Andy, you're the reason why this is taking forever.
Yeah,
You're
thanks.
like either. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks.
Anyway, Cain, what are you?
I honestly don't know what to say, because I never really get into this topic.
Oh, this is
But
gonna be fun.
honestly,
This is gonna be fun.
well,
By the end
here's
of
the
this,
thing.
he'll let you know.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's just go ahead.
Okay.
I don't know what to say.
Marco?
Yeah, I definitely find myself in the middle. I guess I'll explain myself a bit later.
Okay. So I'm gonna start off with my statistics that I've gotten from one of the biggest abortion clinics in the world. Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
According to Planned Parenthood, 400,000 abortions occurred within the year 2016 and 2017. That is
Like more than gun tests.
what?
That's really crazy.
Crazy.
Man.
That is
Whoa.
400,000 future lives being lost to a person with a clamp and a different mindset. Any baby above a 3-month radius has to be pulled out limb by limb, with the arm, then a leg, then another arm, then the spine, then the skull. The same procedure over and over again. It's a gruesome and disgusting procedure that makes even the most dedicated doctors retire from this act and move on to a different field. Abortions may help families or relationships to continue living in harmony, but it sure doesn't let the baby. It doesn't let the child and the future adult live and have its own life. What people don't know about abortions is that they aren't cheap, and in most states, your taxes go to it. Your Planned Parenthood is being funded by the government.
Yeah.
And in Donald Trump's great, what is he, 2 years? 3 years? 2 years?
No, 2 years.
And in his second year, he has, gotten rid of most of the taxes, or most of the funding to Planned Parenthood because of the abortions, because he is pro-life. Or, sorry, pro-life, sorry. Also on top of that, when most future parents see the child in their first, and this is what we're going to get into on our first topic for this, when a parent sees the child for the first time in an ultrasound, that's when they decide, you know what, I'm not gonna have this abortion.
they decide, you know, that is my baby, that is my child, and I don't want to get rid of it. It's a mother and father kind of decision that you don't really get to see. The best part is Planned Parenthood doesn't ever offer an ultrasound. It can offer it if you ask for it, but it almost never offers one.
Well, here's the
It performed nearly 12,000.
honestly, I get it.
Well,
I don't know.
12,000 from the 400,000.
The thing is, who in their right mind can do that? Especially like, how can you rip a baby apart inside of another person and then come back the next day, do it again, and then come again and do it again?
That's why most people were fired. It's something that just is disgusting.
Alright, pretty sick, man.
The only reason I would ever see an abortion happening is whether is in cases of incest and rape where you don't want the baby, or
Well, sometimes incest is something that...
incest, like, let's say that it, like, alright, I'm completely against incest, except, like, just do whatever makes you happy. If you have to go and have fun with your cousin, go ahead. It doesn't matter. I'm sorry, Arkansas, but
Kansas.
I'm sorry, Alabama. I'm sorry, the South.
No. Okay, we're not doing that. So I see what you mean. You know, if most cases where people are like, I'm okay with abortions, if. The problem is that sometimes that if can be a gray line, and most people don't really agree on a lot of it.
Yes.
So what I'm trying to get from all of us is that line.
Gray line.
I'm trying to find out what exactly you are okay with as far as an abortion goes. Now, what I think is okay, which I'm just going to start off with, and then you guys can take it as whatever you want. Abortions should only happen in 2 or 3 situations. 1, rape. I'm never okay. I'm okay with having an abortion if you've been raped. If there's sufficient evidence that you've been raped. You can't just say, oh, I've been raped. That's not okay with me. There's a court of law, there's a process to go through. If there's not enough evidence, you weren't raped. I'm sorry. Just because you say you were, doesn't mean you were. Then on top of that, I think that if it is some kind of incest. Now, this incest doesn't mean that just because it was incest, it should be aborted. You know, I'm in the middle, but slightly more pro-life. You should not just say, I don't want this kid. That is never okay with me. You have more than one option. But I'm okay with you saying that because it was incest, that you want this abortion. And yeah, I think that's it for...
Alright, I'll add on to that.
Hey, I've been trying to talk for like 3 minutes.
Okay, we'll go around the table. Travis, what do you think? What do you think the line is?
So, the line is when? How far along the baby is developed before you can? You shouldn't be pulling out legs, spines, and skulls. That should never have gotten to that point. You should have decided at the time that you figured out you were pregnant if you wanted that child. 3 months is a ridiculous amount of time to figure out whether or not you're ready for a child. 3 months, that baby is 1/3 of the way alive. Not even 1/3 of the way. Not even 1/3 of the way alive. It's 1/3 of the way from being a legal person. You have 12 weeks before that baby is developing all of its organs. 12 weeks before that baby is taking shape. You have those 10, I'll give you 10 weeks to decide if you want that child or not, and if you don't, you're stuck with it.
You're not stuck with it. You have the option to take it away.
You have the option after the baby is born.
But you cannot abort it after that.
You have the option post-birth abortion.
Oh my God, that's called homicide.
18 years.
No,
because this is not that way.
No, definitely.
You're right.
Definitely.
Anyway.
Definitely after the first 12 weeks, if you haven't made the decision, you have to have the baby.
I think it's after 10. I can't say it's after 8. It's such a fine line.
Well, the thing is,
When
I get where Logan's coming from. If you're raped, I get it.
Yeah,
Because I don't think any girl wants to have their rapist as
you
a
would
kid.
look at that child and you would only ever think.
Yeah, you would
about that.
You would see the features of your rapist
Yeah.
every day of your life.
Okay,
It would trigger you to the point of insanity.
Yeah, you have
become
PTSD no
insane.
matter what.
So the thing is, okay, so I have a cousin,
Mhm.
not a cousin. I am technically an uncle, because my sisters are a lot older than me, or my half sisters. One of them gave birth to a baby boy. I think he's 6 or 7 by now. His father was in the military and died in Afghanistan back in 20 um 2010. I want to say 8 years ago. He died back in 2010, and December 6th was the day he died. December 7th was the day his kid was born. Right now, that child looks exactly like his father. That child has grown to his father's facial features, and sorry if I'm getting emotional. That child is a sweetheart, and to never have known his real dad is something that I can never be unhappy about. Or never be happy about, sorry. But the fact that he looks exactly like his dad is what I'm trying to get at. Because if you were raped, and that's why I'm okay with rape, and that's why I'm okay with the incest part, is
Wait.
Oh. Sorry. Okay, that's why I'm okay with you aborting the baby because of rape. There we go, that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, that's what we're just like.
There we go. Alright, let me get
Let's
the tears out of my eyes.
get this,
Let me get the tears out of my eyes. Alright. That's where I'm okay with you aborting the baby because of rape. Because he looks exactly like his dad.
Yeah.
And for you to have to look at that child and get a PTSD moment just because you're looking at your kid, that's
not right.
That's
not right.
That's something no one should have to look
That's
at.
no one should have to live through that. No one should have to go through that. And that's why, sorry, I don't know why I'm taking so long. That's why I'm kind of that's why I'm personal with the topic, I guess.
Yep.
Alright. I guess you can say I'm in the middle now, because I get where Logan's coming from, I get where Travis is coming from, I get where you guys are all coming from. It's just, it is crazy how it happens nowadays.
Alright, I would like to go into this topic with agreeing with what Logan said. Well, partially agreeing with what Logan said. Yeah, I do agree with Logan on the rape, the abortion if rape. I think that is going off the same reason too. I don't think that you should have to deal with a kid that technically wasn't yours to begin with because you got raped. And also, I think that again, I wouldn't want you to be having PTSD every time you look at your kid if it has similar facial structure to the person who raped you per se. And another instance I see abortion happening is in cases of incest, because obviously if for like because of the genetic pool or the short genetic pool that it goes.
Incest will mess up your child.
Yeah, it will mess up your
Incest
child,
will
and I
cause
feel like
birth defects.
your child should not have that.
If you bring a child into this world who has to live their life not literally living, only surviving,
Then that's not right.
that's not right
Okay,
to
so
the
that kind of
child.
brings up a different topic. Well, not the same topic, but
A different kind
sort
of
of different
bad.
issue. If like one of the European countries, I want to say it's Denmark or one of those, or Norway, but they really pride themselves on basically having gotten rid of
Other genes.
no, what's not no, not dyslexia, it's
What's it
God,
about to do?
Hemophilia.
it's you're mentally retarded. I just think of some conditions. It's not autism. It's Down syndrome. Down syndrome.
There we go.
They pride themselves on having gotten rid of Down syndrome, basically like completely, and because they find these I don't know how they do it, but in the womb they're like, okay, this child has Down syndrome, and they basically pressure the mother to abort the baby, and I definitely don't think that's
And that's another thing.
right,
Is
but
Because
A doctor should never be able to pressure you.
Yeah.
into
That's
anything.
not right.
That's
Yeah,
not right at all.
No, that's what I feel like is wrong with
Because
the very little ultrasounds being
yeah.
given.
Yeah,
If you're-
I
with
feel
the
like
12,000
I think it
over
was
400,000,
12,000
like that's a
really?
horrible ratio.
From just from the
Well-
same year that they did 400,000 abortions, they did only 12,000 ultrasounds.
Well, the thing is too that there are other obviously hospital isn't the only
Yes.
doctors like
But it is one of the biggest
it's
in
one
the
of the
United
bigger
States.
ones. Yeah.
The
Whenever you say Planned Parenthood, you automatically
Yeah, no.
think
Abortion. You don't think
That's
of the
what-
mammograms, you don't think of the
Before
condoms, you think of
I
abortion.
lose my train of thought, which I just did. But no, a doctor should never be able to pressure you into anything because you're in a very vulnerable state.
Yeah.
when you're pregnant.
You're completely confused, you're
You don't
worried,
know
you're
what is
anxious, you
happening.
don't know what's going to happen. Like if you have this plan all set up and then you get pregnant, your whole life is up in the air. So you're very susceptible to suggestion. So let's say you have, of course, you know, most abortion doctors, I would assume, are pro-choice. I mean, that kind of makes sense to me.
That's yeah, it kind of makes a lot of sense to me
They
too.
would-
They're just like psych, and
They,
they don't
they
do
will
it.
probably pressure you into an abortion if they feel that you're not the right age, or if they feel you're not in the right social class. They basically control what the rest of your life is at that point because you're so vulnerable in that state. So they can show you the options you have, but they should never say whether or not one is good or bad.
Alright, well, I'd like to get on to my third point. Thank you for the conversation, guys. No, yeah, no,
Yeah.
those were really good points.
Well, I would
Okay,
add
I
on
love
that there. Andy.
Okay,
Alright.
we'll
Yeah.
go.
And
on.
my
That's
third
my point.
situation would be where the mother is in danger, because I feel like because I feel like if the mother is in danger, they shouldn't have to put themselves through like potential death just to give birth to a child. I think that, the way that I
Unless she
think
wants
is,
to.
unless she wants to and risk it.
I think that's another thing, you know, I'm just gonna cut you off, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're married, you know, when you're married and your spouse is under threat, you legally have the option to make some choices.
Yeah.
Now, you cannot make those choices, I think, medically, unless she has given the permission.
Yes.
So, I feel like that's very, very pro choice
Yes.
in that
because-
matter. And I feel like that's
Yeah.
the best part about, you know, mother's life is being able to say no or saying yes
Yes.
to the baby when it's under threat. When the baby's under threat or when she's under threat.
Yeah.
But if you know, if it's not the baby under threat or it's not her under threat, no reason, besides rape or incest, to say I want an abortion.
Yeah.
I haven't really gotten to state my claim yet and why I sort of believe in pro-life and why I sort of believe in pro-choice.
Yeah.
So when Planned Parenthood really got started, the following years, crime sort of dropped, and it's not because, not to say abortion reduced crime, but the people weren't alive to commit those crimes. So that's why you saw a rise in population, but a reduction in crime. Now it's sort of barbaric to say killing babies reduces crime, and it's actually really barbaric. But in all honesty, these children that would have been born into really rough homes, and I'm sure definitely could have made something of themselves. I'm not saying they couldn't have, but they were born or would have been born into a really rough situation where they would have had, most likely, because most of these people do, live a life of crime. But it's really, I think there should be strict regulation. I think there should be definitely a week cutoff. Like,
Yeah.
8 might be too much. It still has to be, for the most part, cells.
It
And
can't be
even then-
developing into
Even then, I
can
think
be a
it's a
fetus,
baby.
because
Yeah.
that's when I
Because-
think.
But
Think about it.
even then, just a clump of cells, as soon as it's fertilized, I think it's a baby. And I don't think it should be called abortion, because that's too easy to be like, oh, I aborted the baby. No, it should be called a baby killing. That's what it is. You killed a living human being. Even though it's just a clump of cells, in 9 months, it's gonna be a 6-pound child.
That's what I'm okay with is contraception. I'm okay with,
Yeah, I'm
you know,
okay with contraception.
1,000%.
Yeah.
I think we should have more sex education to really, we shouldn't,
We shouldn't be we shouldn't be as stigmatized about sexual education because
We
there
shouldn't
are
are stigmatized about sex.
because there are a lot of states, like, let's say the really conservative states like Alabama or Arkansas or Georgia. They have really really conservative sexual education, rather than teaching about contraceptives and condoms and the use of day after pills and stuff like
We
that.
could also get into the freedom aspect of abortion.
Yeah.
Which
You
I
have
think is going to be where we start to,
You have the freedom to choose. You should have the freedom to choose. You know, I mean, America prides themselves on how free you are and all the things that you can do. And to take that choice from someone is taking one of the few choices they can make in their life about their life. Because you don't get to make many choices, if we're being honest. You
That's true.
You don't get to make the choice of whether or not you go to school as a child.
That's the
forced
law.
on
Yeah.
you.
That's the law.
You do get to make the choice if you go to college, but you don't get to make the choice if you want to go to jury duty. I mean, that's the law. You don't get to make the choice on. You don't get to make the choice on how people think of you either, and people are always going to think of you awfully if you abort someone, just because that's just how it is. But you should have the choice of whether or not you want to live your life caring for someone else,
I
or
have
if
one
you
thing to say
can't.
to that.
Because if you're not in the right mental state for a child,
or financial state.
or financial state for a child,
That's why there's adoption.
yeah, well, that's the thing though.
No.
Is-
Let him finish, because then I got something to
Because
say.
postpartum depression, right? You
That's
know,
the thing.
a lot of mothers are really depressed after birth. Even ones that wanted their child more than anything.
Yeah, that's what
Like
happens.
mothers that wanted to be mothers since they were like 6 years old get depressed after because it's not everything they thought it was. So for people that don't want the child, and then to take that choice from them, and then them still have to have that child, it could cause the baby to be killed by their own mother or the mother to kill themselves, and then the baby die because no one knew about it. There's so much things that could happen to that child that are way worse than an unconscious death.
So, what I'm saying, what options I give as part of my research is you know, when you give birth, that is, you know, that after effect of giving birth and getting that wave of depression over you is very real and very serious. The problem is, if you don't want the baby, you don't have to have it. Okay, you don't have to have it after you give birth. Sorry, I'm trying to get to that point. You can give it up for adoption. You can give to another family member. You can get, you know, if you know, most parents miss being parents after their children grow up and do something else.
Yes.
Your grandparents miss being parents. You know, they don't say it to you. They miss
They
being
do.
parents.
Which is
They
why they
love
their
being
grandkids,
parents.
you know.
Exactly. They're parents to the grandkids. But, you know, that's what I love about this option is you can give your children to your grandparents or to your aunts and uncles or other family members that you trust as guardians.
Or to
And
even
who are
people that
born.
can't have children.
Exactly.
That's what I would
If people want children and they can't have it, you should, and you don't want your kid, give birth, give it.
That's why I was saying.
I'm gonna come from
I agree with
my
Cain.
point of view, because my parents, they're getting older, you know, they're
Yeah.
getting older.
Yeah.
I'm a pain in the ass sometimes. I get that.
I think we all are. We're
Yeah,
teenagers.
yeah.
We're teenagers.
I know Logan is.
Fuck you.
Okay. So my sister-in-law, her cousin had a kid.
Not a baby.
Her cousin doesn't treat that kid like good at all. She hits him. She even had another kid after she had that kid. My parents were like, fucking like, let us adopt that kid because they don't treat that kid right at all.
Oh yeah.
It's a little girl.
Yeah.
My parents were like, let us adopt that kid. You guys won't treat him right.
And those are the individuals that don't get parental instincts after they have a child.
Yeah.
There are some people that can't have kids
No, and then the
because
thing is,
they won't be parents.
yeah, and then the thing is, my parents were the baby was cute. Trust me, she was a cute little baby. My parents were like, well, no, like she's still like a little cute baby,
And my parents were like, no, well, my parents wanted to, like, they were like legit,
Yeah.
like, yo, let me adopt this kid because you guys treat the kid like shit. She had another little kid afterwards, and she like hits them for no reason, yells at them for no reason, and she hits them with like
Who's that mom?
stuff. Huh?
The mom from Phineas and Ferb. No, not.
Candace.
Why?
No, sorry, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But my parents were like legit, like, yo, let us adopt this kid. You guys aren't gonna treat him right anyways.
Yeah.
That is one thing that does get me.
But, yeah.
People who are
I
not
have something to
fit,
say this one.
who are not fit or mentally ready to have a child or have never even had a good parent there to teach them,
Yes.
should not have a child. They should put them up for your adoption.
Yeah. So,
Something like that, you know, because it is stupid that people, even teenagers who have kids and don't even know, freaking, they don't even know anything because they don't even have their mom or dad.
Yeah, when
and they try to have
when
kids
the
and
fair
they
was
don't
here,
know.
I can't tell you how many teens I saw pushing around baby strollers,
Yeah.
and the
Alright.
dad looked like he wanted to kill himself.
Alright.
wait.
I was
Okay,
surprised he was still
let me
there.
say this
Oh,
one first.
continue, Logan.
So, going off of what Cain said, like, you know, parents that don't want to be parents who just kind of beat their kids just because they can, and because they're like, man, you're such a failure.
No, but this is the thing. They're not even 1 year old and they're like beating the kid.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. So like, it reminds me of, have you guys seen Futurama?
Mhm.
Yeah.
The mom, the mom that like pretends to be a grandma with like the three stooges basically of kids.
Oh,
So
yeah.
she just beats every single episode. I'm just like, man, she just really hates those kids, and I would hate to be like, just.
Yeah.
I would hate to
Yeah.
be in that situation because if I was that kid, I wouldn't stay there. I would, knowing me.
Well,
I know kids say they'd run away, but I'd actually run away. Like that's something I would not want to live with.
Alright.
That's not fun.
So-
It's nothing.
So going off of what Cain said.
We're getting
earlier-
sidetracked.
Yeah, no. Yeah, alright, so if you don't want to, like, let's say that you're already really deep into it, you can put your kid into abortion, or not into abortion, into adoption. There are many parents, there's many people, and really good people, that want to be parents, but for whatever reason they can't. Let's say that they're too old, or they can't have kids for whatever reason.
Yeah.
There's always good people that want to adopt kids. Don't get me wrong. I have a family friend who just adopted a kid because for years they wanted more kids, but they didn't want to have another, like, they didn't want to have, like, go through with the process of having another kid. So they decided to foster parent for a while, and then after a while they decided to adopt a kid. And that's what my parents are going through they're going through that same stage again. My parents could never have a girl because for whatever reason my dad's sperm doesn't work, and we've always had guys. And so
Have enough.
probably. Anyways, sorry Dad if you ever do listen to this.
Love you, Dad.
Love you, Dad. Anyways, so yeah, my parents they can never have a girl, and so my parents are like right now they're really considering adopting a girl because because my mom and my dad, it's been a dream for them to have a daughter. Yeah, I know, right? And I feel like if you don't want to have a kid, just send it into adoption or have somebody else take care of it.
Yeah,
Because
somebody else can do.
Somebody else could do a better job, and they actually want to be a parent.
I have 2 points.
Yeah, go ahead.
The first one is birth itself, right? You know, birth is not an easy thing.
It's
Not. Carrying the child is not an easy thing.
I give praise to every mom out
Which
there.
is why we're not really talking about that, is because we don't.
We can't go through with that. We're just a delivery.
We can't fathom what it's like to actually carry and deliver a baby. So this is why.
You can thank Eve though.
Yeah. This is why I feel our point of view is not as
Right,
needed
yeah.
in this. But another point, I have a question for all of you.
Sure.
So let's say it was just regular sex, right? There's two 25-year-olds that say they're both teachers. You know, they have decent paying jobs. They both have sex, but they don't want kids. Should they have the choice to have the abortion?
No.
It's called condoms.
I'll let
If
Andy go first.
If they didn't want to have a kid, and I feel like this should be common sense, if you don't want to have a kid, obviously you should use some sort of protection, whether that be a condom. and then
Doesn't
the
feel good.
yeah, it doesn't feel good.
Well,
If
here's
you
the
didn't,
thing,
if you don't want to use a condom too, there's always night after pills that you can take,
So,
and they
that's
are
Plan
usually
B.
they're usually over the counter.
And if
But-
you wanted
so-
to feel almost as realistic, you could buy them ultra thin.
So
We are not sponsored by Trojan, but you know,
I'll
you can
reiterate.
use them ultra
I'll
thin.
reiterate. So your answer
Yeah.
is no.
No.
They shouldn't have the choice.
Yeah.
Your answer is no.
I honestly don't think they
shouldn't have the choice.
You want to know
You
why?
made the
You made the
are
decision
above
to
the
have
age of
sex.
18. You made the decision to fuck, to not be under any kind of contraception.
Marco, your answer is
I'm sort of split because there are definitely various other ways to prevent this child from being born, and we don't have to leap straight to abortion.
yes.
There's contraceptives, medication, with
Birth control.
birth control,
IVs.
and then they're really affordable.
Well,
So-
actually, a friend of mine, little side combo here, his mom was on birth control and his dad had a condom and he was still born.
Well, then at that point it's just fate.
Yeah, no.
That point
Like,
is
that's
okay.
299%. He had a 0.01% chance of
Get
happening.
a point oh oh one.
Yeah, 0.001% chance of happening.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
That
So even at that point, if you've tried to avoid it and it still happens, I
Well-
think you should have that choice.
Well, I
Because there are some people that just don't want kids. I like kids. I like
But
when
you
I can
wouldn't
get, I
want
like when I can give them back.
like
Like I'm holding a kid, it's like
Here you
fun.
go.
We're smiling. They cry. Here you go. Thank you. Good night. I like that, but I would never like right now. Hell no, would I not want a kid? If I found out right now that I had a kid somewhere, you never would have heard of me ever again. My name wouldn't be uttered out of anyone's
Hey,
mouth.
what happened to Travis? Think about
Travis
Antarctica.
Yeah. No,
you move where Hitler was.
because
I went to Cuba with
I know that I
Tupac and Michael
can't
Jackson.
handle a child.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because I can't handle a child. I know that it would be wrong to the child if I were. Now, yeah, adoption is possible.
Well, I mean, especially at this age, because I mean, you're
Yeah.
still in
Yeah, you're
school,
still
and
in
you're,
school,
you're
of course.
definitely going to
Yes.
seek higher
Yes, of
education,
course.
and
So-
that would completely derail you.
Yeah, exactly, which is another thing, like you should have the choice, especially for the woman, if you're underage, because your life is
Hasn't even started yet.
basically hasn't started yet.
Because I know one of my friends has a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One of my friends
yeah.
actually does have a kid. And
Well,
he
you
doesn't
guys,
regret
you
it.
guys know Fernando?
Oh,
Yeah.
I know as a kid,
That's
yeah.
probably my.
I know that.
Somebody go double check.
I know that.
Yeah,
But
and he has a
one
kid,
of-
and he loves her, and I'm like, great, go
Yeah.
for it, man.
Go for it.
Some
Yeah.
people are meant to be parents.
Yeah, my friend.
And I know it's definitely meant to be a parent.
Alright, yeah, that's me.
Oh,
Travis.
Alright, Travis.
Alright,
think I'm
well,
good.
we have
See you
to,
guys.
yeah, we have to say bye to Travis, so,
He's leaving.
he's leaving, we're still here.
This
Yeah.
is my TED Talk. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for TED Talk, Travis, we really appreciate
Hold on, let me
your
be a
time
host
here.
real quick.
I already got it.
So sadly, Travis had to leave us because his parents were cunts. But yeah,
Bro, Artie's can you hear me?
Are you still gonna hear this?
our parents are. All right. Okay.
I already
That's
did
a
it.
beep sound.
I already did the
Wait,
goodbye.
okay, wait, so we
Okay,
Travis did have a good point though, that there are people who
Yeah,
even
because-
at this age, who do want kids, and
Because one of my friends, not Fernando, but one of my other friends has a kid.
Yeah.
He fucking loves that kid. That kid, she's cute. She's a cute little baby, you know? And he loves her to death. But some people aren't meant to have kids.
Some people, even if they aren't meant to have kids, will have kids anyways, and that's just a problem of a lot of. It's okay. I think we need to wrap this up because I think we're just saying the same thing.
Over and over.
Well, can I make one more point,
Okay,
though?
so say one more thing and then I'll ask the final question.
If you are one of those people that have unprotected sex, no birth control, no Plan B, no condom, and other sorts of contraceptives, and then you decide to get an abortion,
I think you're
you're a horrible human being.
No.
It-
Then you're over the age of 18.
Yeah,
That is
and
when
you're-
you are a horrible
yeah,
human being.
that makes no sense to me, that you didn't even try to prevent it, and then you're going to kill it.
Yeah,
You definitely could have prevented it.
Especially
It's
when you're a person
mind-boggling.
who gets pregnant just to not have any periods.
Wait, hold on. Can we also talk about the?
That is something that happens.
Can we also talk about the shout your abortion movement that I've heard recently? How people are really proud of the number of abortions they've
I
gotten.
think that's really
And
that's
Really
fine.
stupid. And
Yeah.
I haven't seen this or heard of this, but it sounds
I'll
stupid.
show you, and
Well, the
it's
thing
really.
is, why would you be proud of having an abortion? You're taking a life that could have been really helpful to
It-
a community or as a society.
It could have been
It could
another
have been
Hawking, it could have been another Einstein,
I
it could have been
think-
another Steve Jobs.
It could have
Steve
been
Jobs
a-
himself was
yeah.
almost an abortion, but his parents went through
You
with it.
can't kill every single baby that you have.
Yeah,
Alright,
I saw a really
because
good
they're-
meme where it was this really angry liberal and he was yelling at God and he said, "Oh, why didn't you come send someone to cure cancer?" And he said, "I did. You aborted them."
Oof. Right.
And-
Alright,
Yeah, we don't know how the-
I'm gonna wrap this up because we've been doing this for a long time. Alright, I'm gonna go through all the questions, I'm gonna ask you all what you think, and we're gonna compare that to how we were before this. So, should marijuana be legal?
Yes, yes, I think it still should be legal.
Okay, Cain,
Oh,
pay attention.
I'm like in the middle.
Okay,
I not only think that marijuana should be
we got
federally
that,
legal.
marijuana's legal.
Wait. I don't think marijuana should be.
Alright, I think marijuana should be legal, but controlled just like every other
Of
drug.
course,
Yes, of
definitely.
course, definitely.
You need to control this because
If
it's
it gets out of
it's a
hand.
major problem, especially at our school. It's a major problem, especially because we live in California, that, you know, it's legal now. So people think, oh, just gonna go pick it up at our local drugstore. No, that's just stupid.
That's
Alright.
the same thing, if it's not controlled, it's gonna be another, well, I mean, this time it can't hurt you, but it would be similar to the opioid epidemic. And again, it can't hurt you, but you can still get addicted to it, and that's a horrible life to lead to.
Alright, number 2. How concerned are you about climate change? Andy.
Very.
Okay, Cain.
Pretty concerned.
Okay, Marco.
Not at all.
Alright, so Marco hasn't changed one bit.
Oh,
Neither
I
have
mean,
I.
I think it's,
super concerned, but I'm concerned.
Well, I'm at the same point of, I'm not really concerned because I'm gonna be dead soon, but I'm also kind of concerned because, like, hey, my kids are gonna,
Yeah.
my kids, my family name is gonna be passed down.
well, I mean, you have to think of it this way. So, you would want the same opportunity that you would have right now.
So I goes in the IQ format.
I'm not gonna use an IT format, sadly. But no, let's say, in hindsight, we're gonna be like, oh, we should have prepared for this more. Maybe we should have built barriers for the water or stuff like that, right? Or maybe we should have done this better. We still have that chance to do that. They don't, and I feel like if we still have the chance to fix what they can't fix, then we should by all means fix it. Whether we choose to is up to, of course, us and our politicians.
Alright, number 3. Hold on. How should we prevent future mass shootings? Do you have any thoughts, Andy?
I feel like
One
there's
or
no.
two?
I feel like there's no
In a sentence format?
or clear-cut way to prevent mass shootings, but there are a number of ways that we can try to prevent. Will it work? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know,
Alright,
but we
Cain.
still can try.
There's no 100% way we can stop them.
Okay,
But
Mark.
we can try to stop them
Yeah.
and try to prevent them.
Yeah, there is definitely no foolproof solution, but as the FBI crime statistics, 98% of shootings or people who had a gun when a shooting was involved were stopped. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
I mean,
When there was a
half
mass
of them were
shooting,
killed. So I mean, technically,
when there was a mass
they were
shooting,
stopped.
98% of them, a person stopped the mass shooter, and 98% of them.
98% of those mass shootings, a person stopped the shooter. Is that what you're trying to say?
How many
It's
of
like a
them were
regular
stopped?
civilian.
Like
No, a regular civilian
With a gun,
with a gun.
stopped a mass shooter.
Yes.
90% of the
And
time.
98% of the time, and 98% of the times when a private gun was there, a private gun owner, a concealed carry holder,
Okay.
like the Sutherland Springs shooting.
Alright, that I heard about that.
Alright, when is the use of military force justified? Andy, go.
I believe diplomacy should be used first, but in last resort, I think military force should be justified.
Okay, Cain.
It should be a last resort for anything, and anything that's erotic.
Okay, Marco.
Yeah, I definitely like Andy, what he said, diplomacy, but then military force.
Alright, of course, I haven't actually given my answers yet, because I haven't been paying attention to what I've been saying. But, so, for me, climate change, I know it's just, I'm really tired.
Yeah, I know.
Climate change, I haven't changed my thought on climate change really good. You know, oh, I did give my thought on climate change. I'll cut this part out. Mass shootings, though. Or not mass shootings. Yeah, I haven't even said anything about mass shootings. Mass shootings.
Yeah, you can.
I think when a person is uh, about to shoot up a place, you know, it should be more obvious than what people say it is. I think, you know, when somebody comes into school with a black trench coat and something sticking out of the pants.
Here's the thing. I don't know if you guys saw that
Wrap it up.
video.
Wrap it up.
I don't know if you guys saw that video where the guy was like, you see this picture? This is a concealed AR-15. Have you guys seen that? No, it's like...
You'll show us later. Alright.
Okay, I'm sorry. Keep going.
When is the use of military force justified? For me, I don't think it should be a last resort. I don't think it should be a first resort. I think it should be somewhere in the middle after you kind of do something diplomatic and non-threatening. When it becomes a problem, that's when you need to start using military force. Finally, number 5, which is, you know, most of you guys were kind of, actually didn't say this long as we
A lot of us were in the middle.
Yeah, and I want to see where you guys are right now. So, should fertilized eggs be given legal personhood? Basically,
Yes.
should you be allowed to abort or not abort a baby, right?
Not abort a baby.
So
Not abort. I'm against abortion.
Okay, pro-life or pro-choice?
Again, I'm against
Okay.
abortion. So.
Pro-life. So you're pro-life.
Yeah.
Figure that out. Joe.
I'm more pro-life than pro-choice.
Okay, did that change since the beginning of the topic?
I was like in the middle.
And are you now more on leaning on one side?
Pro-life. More pro-life.
You're more, okay. You?
Yeah, I was sort of in the middle, but I think I am now more pro-life than pro-choice
Yeah, because
in some aspects.
only some should be pro-choice.
I gotta ask you a question, because I feel like, I might have swayed y'all in one kind of, in a type of way. I'm obviously pro-life.
Yeah.
Mostly pro-life, mostly the main kind of pro-life. You know, I think 8 weeks, if any less than that, and you, or any more than that, you should have already decided you should keep the baby. Rape is bad, so, you know, get rid of that baby. Incest is bad, incest can be bad, so get rid of that baby. And, if you don't want to have the kid, but it's past 8 weeks to where you're legitimately pulling pieces out, that is where I draw the biggest fucking line. You need to understand that. You need to understand that when you make a mistake, especially with a person's life, you cannot just say, abort the baby. You can't. Okay? You made that mistake. Now, never beat your child because you wanted it. Give it away. Give it to somebody that needs the child because they want to have it. Give it to somebody that just put it up for adoption. Even though our adoption system sucks.
It really does.
It's really bad.
really bad.
Put it up for adoption. Give it to a family member. If you don't have any
There's
family
definitely
members,
more supply than
just
demand.
look for somebody.
It's better than having the child and not caring for it at all.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, so much for listening in and watching in on YouTube. If you want to ask us questions, go ahead and leave it in the description. If you want to talk to somebody special,
In the comments.
My channel will be in the description as well.
yeah, okay, sorry. Leave it in the comments. If you need any of us, if you want to call us by name out, you know, Marco, Travis,
Yeah.
Andy, Cain, or me, Logan, go ahead and put it in the comments, and I'll try and answer it with what they say. I'll try and answer it. If you try and ask me questions,
And if you want to argue, that's fine. We won't talk to you though.
Actually, I think I
Sometimes
might.
we will.
if you want to argue, if you want to like debate with us, we can have a debate. But if you just want to say no and you don't feel like you're gonna have your mind changed, or have the possibility of your mind being changed, then there's no reason for you to talk in the first place.
It's not worth it.
Yeah, if you're not willing to have an open mind with this sort of stuff, then just don't do anything, because most of us here, we decided, like, even before, like, we were gonna like do this, we decided that if we didn't have an open mind, we weren't gonna go anywhere. We were just gonna be talking. We're gonna be knuckleheads and not get anywhere.
I hope you guys. Sorry, I'm gonna wrap this up, Andy.
Okay.
We can talk more after. I hope you guys have a great Christmas for us, because it's we know Travis had to leave and we're sorry, but I did wish him a Christmas before he did.
Alright.
And I hope you guys have a great rest of your year. Hope you guys hope we can do this more. And yeah, I hope you have many more to come. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Hope you guys